Hello there, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Smite Draft League. We got the Unstoppable division this time. Week number 4, the Seismic Shockwaves, taking on Wild Inferno. I'm KingFsher, and joining me here for the cast, we have Fenix. How are you doing?
I'm doing really well. We love unstoppable matches. We love to see Wild Inferno and Seismic Shockwaves. I think there will be some names here that you and I will recognize, as well as some people, some viewers here. stooompzz is one of those names that you will know very well. Captain of Wild Inferno. Also, just a really well-known person from last season due to the fact of playing a Ymir out of their mind.
We love when Ymirs go massive. It feels like there's always one, at least once a season, there's that one Ymir game that just hits different, and we love seeing it anywhere we can get it. Like you said, a lot of very, very familiar names, especially looking over to that Wild Inferno roster. Like you said, there's stooompzz, but also coming out of the draft, I think most of the casters, I could be misremembering, identified this as one of the strongest teams just looking initially in the Unstoppable division.
It looks like a divine team is what it looks like in some ways. In some ways, obviously, this other team also looks really strong. King of Darkness, another known name in the SDL, very strong in the support role. A great matchup against stooompzz, also the captain. Both captains are supports, funny enough, here in this situation. A name that we haven't said yet on Wild Inferno is A1. A1 is a pocket pick soul laner, really good in the soul lane. I know you have a lot of love for A1 as well.
Certainly do, and already looking at the bans, are moving along quickly. One that you wouldn't normally see in the top 3 that I would argue is necessary against Slim the Rebel. It's the Agni ban. We've seen what they can do on the Agni. It's scary. Everybody knows it. Banning the Agni is definitely the right way to go, and a little bit unexpected. They're going to take the Susano off the board as well, and something we've already seen banned out many, many times is still on the board. My eyes are immediately drawn to the Marticarus.
Who will rise
Martigarus, but
above
they
the
said just the
rest?
opposite. You said Discordia is the option that we're going for. I think we saw in the previous game that we casted for Unstoppable. eh, it's not as good as it can be sometimes. It takes a team around a Discordia. You have to play a little bit of Protect the Queen. But Wild Inferno has Martigarus open, and I think that ItzCharlo could easily play it. You know, this is a pick for him.
I think it absolutely could be, especially Slim the Rebel, so good on just so many kind of traditional mages. You don't really want to force him off onto something like the Marticarus. It normally gets played in mid, certainly still viable in the duo lane. But like you said with Discordia, yeah, really, really thrives when the team is ahead, when the team is grouped around. You really need to be in a solid spot in order to kind of get everything out of that pick. But there are a lot of good gods still up on the board. Is there, you think, a certain role Wild Inferno are going to go to first?
Well, with hovering that, we have done it. I think this is one of the most obvious picks that should have come out probably from Seismic Shockwaves, but instead will go to Wild Inferno. I would not be surprised to see this go into the carry role, but also knowing Slim Rebel, he could probably pull it out if he wanted to. He's talented enough to play this Marticarus in the mid lane, no problem.
Let the
I'm
sound of
more.
slaughter
Oh, and
begin!
Kali was open. We didn't even talk about the fact that Kali was open. So my two target picks were going to be Slim and Crimson in the jungle and the mid. And so if these two picks are for both of those players, that's awesome. If we're looking for a mage for Slim the Rebel, that makes the most sense. He is really good on mage mids. I have not seen him flex as well onto ADC mids. That's why we see the Baba Yaga and the Agni ban, is because those two gods are very comfortable on Slim the Rebel.
Absolutely are, and I'm glad you highlighted the Cali. We really haven't seen that too much that
Triumphant!
season. I believe it's been banned out pretty much every game. I don't think I've personally casted a Cali yet. Very excited to see what Crimson's going to be able to do on that one. And a Neja lock-in, another assassin that's kind of been seeing some focus more in the second wave of bans. And it normally goes to the jungle. We see it flex into something like support, but with a Jormungandr lock-in, second time we're going to see the big snake today. Jormungandr certainly in a good spot in today's meta.
Certainly in a great spot. I think that Wild Inferno probably would have liked to have the Jormungandr on their team have top picks because Kali, Marticarus,
I
and
will leave
Jormungandr,
standing
and this
no
will be the
barriers
third
to
game
our
today as well that we
success.
see a Ganesha being played. We saw it being played. I believe, who was it last time that was playing it? Not Fozzie Wazzy. That was the other team was playing the Athena.
Jack Tough.
Jack Tuff was playing the Ganesha, and I believe played it really well. Dharmic Pillars can create a ton of space for teams that are looking to thrive. And a weird ban. Have you ever seen that ban? A Kumbhakarna.
I can't say that I have. I mean, If you don't think that's a target ban, then you're wrong. It's definitely not a meta ban for any intents and purposes. Kumbhakarna, I mean, even as a target ban, leads me to question it a little bit. Who knows, maybe King of Darkness has been playing just kind of out of their minds with it lately, but even so, you kind of think there are stronger supports, especially that one. Just a taunt can kind of be neutralized easily if your team's ahead. Not as big of a deal to kind of mess with, but you know, we're going to see the impact it has, going to be forced onto something different.
I think if I'm looking at the comps right now, and we need a support on the side of Seismic Shockwaves, I know they're not picking right now. Wild Inferno are, but I'm already kind of looking towards their comp because Wild Inferno's comp is already so rounded out and looks so strong from an outside perspective. Whether it plays out that way, we'll have to see. But Seismic Shockwaves could answer right now with a Khepri. A Khepri would be really strong on their team to survive against Kali because Kali can get that kill on that target. It's not an execute. It's not an Ao Kuang. It's not a Thanatos. It's nothing like that. And this hover right now for Cthulhu is an A1 style pick. This is exactly what A1 loves. So expect to see this roll in the solo lane. I want to see a Khepri here from Seismic Shockwaves though.
That's what Owen loves, and that's what Fisher loves. I love Cthulhu solo. It's one of my favorite picks in the game. Maybe only taught by Cernanos, as everyone knows, but Cthulhu's such a good god. He's provides so much pressure in that solo lane. Very difficult to deal with when they're ahead, and especially the team coordination around them. That Ganesh, very, very peel heavy, gonna easily be able to make up for the backline there. Wild Inferno, which just leaves Owen and Crimson to dive as deep as they want with that, and the destruction from Kali providing a lot of safety. And a pick we've also seen being picked up a little bit more lately. It's going to be the Kuzenbo, which means that will be an Aja in the jungle. What do you think about the Kuzenbo there from King of Darkness?
I like it. I think that King of Darkness can flex a lot of his support abilities on the Kuzenbo. Kuzenbo is a all-around support. It's not your basic support like Ymir. Ymir is a very basic. You can pick him up and play him. Anyone can play him. It's not your Terra either. So Terra is much more complicated as far as like you need to make sure that you use your ultimate at the right time and the right position and stuff like that. But with Kuzenbo, if you have mana control is the big situation with the Kuzenbo. If you have to have enough mana to be able to pop your spikes, to be able to pop your push, to be able to pop your kappa. And if you can have that, then it's a winning scenario for any kind of support. And
Face the wrath
another
of a
hover here from
sorceress
Morgan Le Fay.
scorned.
I love the Morgan Le Fay pick coming out from Wild Inferno. Their comp, just in general, looks really well rounded out. I love that team.
It does, and you did call it correctly. I would assume then that's going to be a Marticarus carry, unless we see a Morgan Le Fay ADC. As much as I would love that to happen, I probably don't think that's the best route, so we are going to see the King of the Monsters over there into the duo lane. And we've already talked about Wild Inferno's team comp. It looks so good. It feels like we've talked about Morgan Le Fay and the self-peel 100 times, whether it's Marticarus' death from above. Look at whatever you want on this team comp. It is very safe. It's going to be really difficult for Seismic Shockwaves to find picks and really put them in the dirt. The Neja and the Kuzenbo, I think especially, are going to have to play out of their minds to shut this team down.
The only thing I'm lacking on both teams, besides the Rama, I suppose, is the hard objective shred. Because both teams, Kali's going to have to walk in so deep to be able to shred an objective, and that's generally pretty dangerous. And she's going to be wanting to target gods and goddesses typically and getting kills because that's exactly what her kit is around, not getting towers. She's not a Loki. She's not, let's say, even like a Freya or something like that. You know, something that allows you to do a damage from really far away in the jungle because you can pick Freya jungle if you want to, not in the current meta. But I want to talk that both teams are lacking on objective shred.
They are indeed. I'm sure it's gonna be a difficult game for either team to find an advantage, but we're just gonna have to wait and see. I believe game one's ready, so let's get right into the match between Seismic Shockwaves and Wild Inferno. We are ready for action here in week number 4 of Seismic Shockwaves taking on Wild Inferno here in the Unstoppable Division. We've already talked about a lot about these two teams. We've talked about loving Wild Inferno's team comp. There's so many things it does well. And we've already seen throughout the season, throughout past seasons, how important the early game is. If you're Seismic Shockwaves, what do you need to do in this early game to make sure you stay ahead of this team?
You need to go in and get the ganks off. I'm looking at one person. SimonSaysSmite. Where Simon is will make this map go that direction. Because Naja, a sash will force out a beads in mid lane, in dual lane, or in the solo lane will force out a dash. If you can catch Cthulhu's dash, there is an opportunity for kills every single day. So keep your eyes on that right there.
Well, keep your eyes on the Morgan Le Fay too. Dropping low, Slim the Rebel has to expend the beads to get back under tower. And do so successfully in a very good sash and a root as well by Liore and SimonSays there. Now King of Darkness going to be the target. Martikris does a lot of damage even this early. Looking for the kill. Really good body blocks though by shadowknexsestus. Gonna kind of shut it down where it stands. Very, very close in multiple lanes to first blood. Not going to pan out for anyone though.
I love the solo lane, by the way. It's two big boys. This is like a big old, this is a frontliner type of thing going on here. Guardian Battle of the Days. And really cool because when Cthulhu goes up into the ultimate, I'm guessing that Jormungandr will just answer with his own ultimate. A little bit of a brawl going on over here, but the capture will be done by our friend SimonSaysSmite on that left side camps. TheCrimsonAspect on this collie looking really good, and the rotation coming over to the left lane.
SimonSays going to find a good dash onto Charlo. Martikris now still a little bit over half. King of Darkness getting silenced out. Good job by stooompzz. Might pay with their own life, but saving the ADC for now. stooompzz dropping to 150 HP. No kill going to happen though as Shadow takes a tower shot, and that's going to spell the end of the engagement. One thing we haven't looked at yet with the junglers, obviously Neja, when he ticks over to level 5, has some Windfire Wheels, does very, very well at securing kills, making ganks happen. Kali really doesn't come online until late game. You talked about wanting to see Simon gank early. KingFsher is going to have a whale of a time trying to stay kept up with that Neja.
And that's where it's going to be the win for Seismic. I think that's what you asked me, is how do Seismic push this lead and start to actually have a lead? In general, they don't have a lead yet, but start to actually have one. And that's exactly what it is SimonSaysSmite pushing this early position that Naja has, instead of Crimson, who does not have that early position. Speaking of early positions, Carlo getting put into a pretty bad position thanks to King of Darkness with a great dash, but King of Darkness has found himself in unhealthy situations, and I get to say it this time. I get to say Watery Grave and actually have the ability to be used. I said it last time we casted together, and it was just, there was no Kuzenbo in the game, no sight of a Kuzenbo, but now I get to say it, and actually there is a Kuzenbo. I'm happy to see a Kuzenbo in a game.
I mean, it is a very, very fun ability name to say it. I'd probably say it too if it wasn't in the game. Now, Crusader taking down the Totem of Skulls, not Totem of Ku over here on the right side. Am I the only one that still calls it Totem of Ku?
I call it Totem of Ku.
Okay.
It's what it's been for the last 2 years, and I'm going to keep calling it that probably until I get into my Watery Grave.
It just feels wrong to call it anything else. One thing, we all call the same thing, the gold buff over there on the left side of the map. Of course, dual lane still fighting over it. King of Darkness a little bit low on both health and mana. And the Kuzenbo started with the blink, did not go with the magic shell, so maybe gonna have to play a little bit more conservatively than the Ganesh will. Obviously able to kind of get themselves out of a tough situation there with the use of that shield. But level 5, and it's online, the Watery Grave. Not enough mana though.
As I told you, I said it in the picks and bans, is the big thing about Kuzenbos that I've seen in both Divine matches and Immortal matches. We haven't casted as many on solo matches, but here we are now doing one, is that Kuzenbos struggle to hold on to their mana. They just constantly want to be doing aggressive things, but that's because they have so many aggressive abilities. I compared it to like Ymir or Terra, because Ymir has to put himself in such a bad position to try to get a freeze off sometimes, but that's why he stops him from using the freeze itself. He doesn't end up doing it that often because it takes so much walking and such a slow god. But King of Darkness on this Kuzenbo, you have dash, you have Watery Grave, you have spikes, which means you have those abilities up every couple seconds. And here comes Smite doing this gank, misses the sash.
Oh, misses the Windfire Wheels as well. Unfortunate from the Neja. Charlo gonna be able to walk away there. I like seeing SimonSays getting involved early. Unfortunately, does not quite pan out. In all fairness, though, even if they hit that, I really don't know if you lock down that kill. The Martikris still has a bead, still has death from above, a lot of safety built into that kit. So, you know, it's certainly not all lost. Now, looking here at the solo lane, they've started with two very, very different build paths. Is that normal for magical solos, that they kind of diverge a lot, or is it one standard build that kind of trumps all?
I'm surprised to see the Vampiric Shroud coming out from Cthulhu straight into the Prophetic Cloak. That is not as typical. Typically, you would see not building stacks, because all you're going to be able to do for the first 15 minutes of this game is get magical stacks, as A1 is trying to do, because that's all that Crusader is. How Prophetic works is you have to deal damage to the certain type of god. So, if, for example, Kuzumbo is a magical damaging god, so therefore, if you hit him, you get a stack of magical protections, is how it goes. And so Prophetic does 15 stacks of magical and 15 stacks of physical. All A1 is going to be doing is doing damage to Jormungandr, which means the 3 stacks that he has right now are all magical. Come 15, 20 minutes into this game, he's going to be begging for physical damage.
Gonna have to try and hit the physical gods too, and that's gonna be a tall task because theoretically the solo laner and the jungler are both gonna be diving, shouldn't meet up a whole ton, so really gonna be chasing down Shadow there on the Rama, trying to get those stacks online. Now 7 minutes into this game, it's already 1,500 gold lead for Seismic Shockwaves. They've acquired that extremely kind of quietly, I guess, just out farming Wild Inferno. And for me, it's always dangerous to see that because it means it's not coming off the back of big plays. It's just good old-fashioned Smite, Seismic Shockwaves. The momentary advantage, but the place we see that more than most, especially this season, is a Stygian Beacon and how those teams fight over it.
Yeah, 13 minutes, that rotation into the mid lane is the question that is always going to be there for both teams. Who's going to show up, who's not going to show up. Sometimes it's only week 4 right now, if I'm correct, in this game, and that means that these teams should know each other because they've been playing each other with about 3 weeks now at this point. So there should be some chemistry as far as rotating to the mid lane and getting those picks and getting those kills before Beacon, or possibly just getting the Beacon itself. But sometimes your teammate just stays in the right lane and pushes down solo lane, or stays in duo lane and pushes that down. But here's a rotation into 2 members. Slum the Rebel and stooompzz might find themselves in a bad position, but KingFsher is around the corner.
I don't know what they're looking for in the jungle, but if they were looking for a fight, they found it. SimonSays and KingFsher already trading blows. Slim the Rebel has to use beads once again to escape King of Darkness. Able to get out just fine, though. Cthulhu still over there in the right lane, not wanting to show face just yet. SimonSays hits a big sash, still has a Windfire Wheels in pocket. And they're not going to commit onto it. Cthulhu now marching over. Aowan is here. And both teams just look to disengage as the ADC is boxing it out like it's solo lane. But maybe not. Sash lands onto A1, uses the descent into madness, trying to get away, dropping low and dropping to the grave. First blood goes over to Crusader. 8.5 minutes in, the Jormungandr finds one. Now stooompzz alone under the tier 1 tower, able to find their way out just fine. Slim the Rebel getting back under the tier 2 in mid, and now SimonSays might be caught out of position. Has 2 members following him. KingFsher might go for the kill, still has destruction. Rooted out, gonna have to pop it early. King of Darkness finds a push, taken into the air by the Nejah. The timer's expired, and so has their life. KingFsher drops 2 kills for Seismic Shockwaves.
How aggressive Seismic Shockwaves are playing is surprising me. Wild Inferno did not have the gold lead, and I think that Seismic Shockwaves must have realized that, because now they're ahead by 3k, nearly 3k, almost 2.5k, and that was just within about 2 minutes of game time. There was not much time in between us saying, oh, there's only a 1k lead. Passive from Seismic Shockwaves. How is it, how are they getting it? Just farming better. But now we see why. It's because these fights are actually going their way when they take them, and for good reason. We have the Nejah taking up KingFsher into the air. It made total sense, and it worked out exactly as Seismic Shockwaves probably had it drawn up. I'm still excited to see 3 minutes from now when this first beacon comes up, because that fight might show you what it looks like. But keep in mind, don't count Wild Inferno out of this game just yet. It's only 10 minutes into the game, number 1. But also number 2, their team is very heavy on late game gods. Kali, you've already commented on, but also we can go ahead and comment on Cthulhu. That is a crazy god to have to walk at level 20, and especially when A1's piloting that god.
It really is kind of a pick along with the Kali that just gets better the later that game goes. Certainly expect them to pick up the... Is that still a thing? Is Thorns still the second relic on Cthulhu for when you pop that ultimate? I always love Thorns on Cthulhu.
You can do it. It's kind of a little more troll, I would say, nowadays, but also it does just make it so that ADCs you gotta keep in mind what meta we're in right now. We're in a tank meta right now. And so if you want to have a tank meta, then you can build things. Even like Blink is almost more aggressive on Cthulhu than even building Thorns. I would not be surprised if I saw it here, to be honest with you, because it makes sense up against a Rama as well as a Jaw, because Jaw has to walk away if you pop those Thorns, right? And so it would make sense into this team comp specifically, but also there are other options. You can buy a Sprint, you can buy a Shell, you can buy even what's the better ward called? The one that you place down, it makes people fast and do more damage. Darn it, you're a good chair too.
Oh, I'm blanking on the name too. I know the one it's something Radiance, right?
That's
No?
the updated version of it, right? That's the
Oh, no.
relic version of it.
It's Bracer or something.
Yes, Bracer. It used to be called Bracer of Undoing, but it's called Bracer Warding Bracer, whatever it's called. Yes, you are correct.
Oh my gosh, I can't believe we're both blanking on the
Two
name.
chair twos.
You know, I'm gonna use my excuses. I'm in share 1 mode today. That's gonna be my excuse, and I'm gonna Google what that is called later. But now Aeon in trouble underneath the tower. Jormungandr still has the World Serpent chasing them down. Crusader not gonna let to use it. Now KingFsher over in the left lane. The target is Shadow, who is pushed very, very far up. Nesh walking over as well. Death from above. Only gonna speed up the inevitable. Shadow goes into the air, trying to buy time for the team. Kuzumbo, though, preoccupied with Slim the Rebel. Charlo gets the kill. King of Darkness can only watch helplessly, now having to retreat back through mid. And Cthulhu's over here. The beacon's up. Solo laner starting to rotate out. Jormungandr moving across a map as well. King of Darkness trying to displace Stoomps. Can't kill a Ganesh that easily, though. Watery Grave used to no avail. Aeon up into the air. Now Wild Inferno take a very aggressive position on the beacon. They're in a 5v4. Some low health bars, though. Double knockup from Alan now in the back. Slim the Rebel getting taken to the skies. SimonSays has another use of Windfire Wheels. Morgan Le Fay escapes underneath the tower. Neja now dropping very low. Both teams dropping low, and it's going to be Seismic Shockwaves forced to retreat. Wild Inferno get the beacon, and Wild Inferno walk away from the fight with 1 kill.
1 kill, but it felt like it should have been so much more. KingFsher is still here. SimonSays chasing after it just a little bit. Crimson has to get out of this way. Will dodge the sash. Thank the gods for that, because otherwise it would have been a kill. Seismic Shockwave says, we lost the beacon, let's go ahead and pull this Gold Fury then. Actually have the opportunity to do it here, because Stoomps is the only person in the air, but does have Dark Pillars, a great possibility of stealing it. Jumping in is TheCrimsonAspect, and it will go the way of Seismic Shockwaves as the ultimate being used by Crispin to try and save his own life, but chasing is the waves.
Now Seismic Shockwaves might try to push up a little bit more. They take the Gold Fury successfully. Dharmic Pillars just a tad late. Same with the Kali leap in. But I do like the contest from Wild Inferno. Not too much risk there. Even if you die, it's early enough in the game where it shouldn't be too detrimental to them. You would hope. And it's like you said, at 10 minutes, Wild Inferno, they're down in this game. They're down about 3,000 gold. Maybe momentum starting to swing towards Seismic Shockwaves after that past Gold Fury. It's nowhere close to over. 3,000 gold is a lot for this stage, but Wild Inferno, we've said it multiple times, they have a late game team. They're probably a late game minded comp as well. They're certainly able to take this. And a prophetic cloak from the Neja. I can't say I've seen that built before.
Building, I just said it a couple of minutes ago, which is currently a tank meta. And that sadly means that junglers build tanky sometimes. And in this situation, Naja building tanky seems a little curious, seems a little questionable, just because it's so early, but you have to build Prophetic Cloak early if you want to build it at all. It's questionable to build it in the first place. I will agree with your, since we have our cameras on, our little nods of like, it's questionable. It is very questionable to build Prophetic Cloak onto the Ja, because you would see it on gods like Fenrir. Fenrir is a god you would see it on, but that's because Fenrir has so much self-sustain with that wonderful looking howl, as well as the escapability with Ragnarok. This is not the same situation with Naja. I would see the healing, the shield regrowth, is what it used to be called, but now it's called the breastplate regrowth. That would make more sense on a Ja, because it allows you to chase kills and get to kills really fast. So I would expect to see that instead of the Prophetic Cloak in that exact spot.
Certainly could be another item that fits in there very well. I think also Pridwin comes to mind. I don't know how good that is on junglers, but the glyphs of Pridwin are very, very good. They pop after you ult too, so Neja kind of gets a kind of just a free damage onto somebody after they ult him with that. But all the same, Prophetic Cloak, it's a very good item. Damage mitigation in this game is a very good statistic. So it's certainly not a bad pickup there from SimonSays, if a little unorthodox. Now King of Darkness certainly not done with the aggression over here onto the mid lane. Pops the Thorns in the shell, not going to find any reflect damage though. And Crusader's here as well, maybe a Pyromancer call from the Shockwaves. This time though, Wild Inferno know what's happening. stooompzz still does have the Dharmic Pillars up. They're only going to send the Ganesh to contest, and SimonSays he's not going to let that happen. Pyro dropping under half. You'd be surprised if they wouldn't fire wheels stooompzz to keep them away. Not going to happen though, just chasing. Pyro dropping very low, and Wild Inferno cannot get there in time. Watery Grave used to keep them close. There goes the Windfire wheels. They take one up into the air, now crashing back down is stooompzz. Crusader finds a knock up onto Aeon, but the fight might end there. Seismic Shockwaves not able to get as clean of an engage as they would like. Wild Inferno all walk away without burning any relics either. Big win there for the Chaos team.
For the Chaos team for sure, but also it felt like stooompzz was just standing there. Like they could have had the opportunity to get the kill and the Pyromancer if they wanted to. So I don't know if I want to say a dominant win there from Seismic Shockwaves, but the Pyromancer going their way is just a win in itself because of the past. They're just pulling objectives. Do you see Shockwaves? They pulled the Gold Fury. Now they just pull the Pyromancer. They do not give a rat's butt about what's going on, and there's something else that doesn't really give a rat's butt about anything, because Wild Inferno just walking at the purple buff saying, oh, well, thank you very much, Mr. Shadow. There's no problem with that.
Purple buff invades, something we're all too familiar with, and the gold buff after the beacon kind of calls me back to the last set we commented on, actually, Kingslayers versus Sunbreakers, where it was Sunbreakers that took the beacon, and I think 4 times went immediately to that Gold Fury and just pulled it because they won the fight at the beacon. So the fact that Seismic Shockwaves were able to do that after losing the beacon fight, I think speaks very much to their captain knowing where the calls is, or knowing where to go, and the team knowing kind of their own capabilities. I'd need to see Wild Inferno get more aggressive on those objectives though. Pyromancer, it's not the end of the world if you lose it in the slightest. It's a very kind of small in the scope of the other objectives, but something like this Oni Fury they're going to need to show up for, and Slim the Rebel again getting the beats forced very early on by Liore. Good root and half the HP taken off the Morgan Le Fay. If you're King of Darkness, you're probably already thinking, alright, that's the opening. Oh yep, Jormungandr rotating over.
Yeah, this is it. This is another beacon open, and Oni Fury is also up. This might be an early objective. They're already here. I'm telling you, man. Seismic Shockwaves are pulling these objectives like no other team. This is a godlike level play. This is an immortal level play. This is stuff that high level teams do, and they're doing it to a T.
Oni Fury now dropping low. Dharmic Pillars used very early to force him off. King of Darkness dropping low. Death from above. Not going to pick it up though. KingFsher dodges out the Astral Barrage, and low HP bars on the side of Seismic Shockwaves. Now the Martika is wanting to get involved. Rama has to use the Aegis very early on. stooompzz trying to chase out the Disco. And that fight went Wild Inferno's way from the start. KingFsher still jumping. It doesn't have destruction. Rama takes him down. Maybe the tides turn. Aeon still marching forward. Full HP on the Cthulhu. Can dive the tower. Crusaders here also. Oh, that was almost a free beacon for Wild Inferno, but they overplay their hand just a tad. Now Cthulhu might be in trouble. Sash is going to land from the Neja. Rest of the team backing up. Cthulhu, though, still staying around, and here comes Charlo, here comes stooompzz, up into the Descent into Madness. Crusader forced to use the World Serpent very early to get on out. SimonSays is the target. Cthulhu still chasing. Aeon, though, needs to turn and run. King of Darkness is back, using the reflect damage, gonna find a little bit. Discordia line attack, not gonna happen, though. King of Darkness pushes back stooompzz. Dharmic Pillar is used again. Death from above again. Holy cow, the ults have reset, and the fight's still going on. Aegis from Liore, but walks into the path from Martika as Charlo gets a kill. Crusader still chasing out. What on earth is happening? stooompzz is low. Martika is low. stooompzz trying to buy time is going to pay with her life. But so many people on red HP, and finally the fighting's over. Both teams managed to disengage. And what the heck happened?
Too much to say. I think that there was an overextension there by Wild Inferno. They could have backed up and probably pulled Gold Fury and forced the fight into their favor a bit more. But speaking of in their favor, this was there the entire time. That beacon was just sitting there, and A1, Wild Inferno will secure, I believe, another beacon, correct? They got the first one as well.
They did get the first one. And yeah, I expected them after that first pick to just kind of walk back. Maybe not pull the Oni Furies. It's a 5-on-4. I mean, certainly could have. They did have Dharmic Pillars. They have all the tools they need. But maybe even go for something like that Beacon. They prioritized it pretty highly the first time, and they get it the second time as well. But now, Oni Fury's still up on the board. We've seen Seismic Shockwaves kind of be the ones to be forcing these objectives. Looking at the gold charts, though, Wild Inferno, with that kill, with that small swing in the Beacon, starting to mount a comeback. But now, Oni Fury's going to be the target. KingFsher, the only member here, has Destruction, so you can maybe contest, but it's risky. Now the Martika is rotating over. Oni Fury at about a 5th HP. Ooh, Death from Above used very early, but they don't drop the Fury. You get so close, but Shockwave's able to take it. Martika is now taken to the skies. You have to think that's a dead ADC. Charlo cannot get out of trouble quick enough. Everyone else lives for Wild Inferno, so it's a kill and an Oni Fury for the Seismic Shockwaves. Gonna swing the golden XP right back in their favor.
Gold XP right back in their favor for sure, but like it's so many objectives, man. It's just they're walking from one objective to another. The unification of these guys, the how unified they are, how it's so comprehensive. It's great. Like there's so many words I could put to this. They will secure that. Dharmic Pillars will not be able to steal away this time. stooompzz did give it a you know, a good old try, but I love how are Seismic Shockwaves just getting away with this many objectives, and the lead's only in their favor, by the way. 3K. It's 21 minutes in this game. They have gotten 4 objectives. They gotten 2 Gold Furies and 2 Pyromancers, and they're only 3K ahead. That is a testament to how Wild Inferno is still playing this game and still farming. When they're getting those objectives, they must be doing something that's at least letting them stay close, at least a little bit close enough to actually stay in the game at all. Because if this were my team, I would be falling behind by so much. It feels like 5-2 is a scoreline. Everything's going the way of Seismic Shockwaves, but it doesn't feel like it is going dominantly in their way.
Not dominantly at all. I mean, Wild Inferno, even down on kills, 5-2, but still, like you said, you would expect that lead to be much bigger on the side of Seismic Shockwaves. Now we're still about 2 minutes, or maybe closer to a minute and a half from this last beacon spawn. Or no, it's gonna be later. They didn't take it at 18 minutes. Oh, but they're trying to get the level 18 over here. Rama dropping low, half HP underneath the tower. Manages to get out just fine. All Seismic Shockwaves now making a rotate. And a surprise rotation. Only the solo laner is missing, but there are no objectives on this left side of the map. They don't need them. They just want the kills. King of Darkness is going to be the first one up for Seismic Shockwaves. Watery Grave on their way out. Death from Above ticking down. Not nearly able to do enough. Rama dropping low again. Forced to retreat. Now it's SimonSays cut out of position. Charlo has to use the beads. No, not the beads. Wow, both teams very, very low. Seismic Shockwaves start that fight. Now Cthulhu's over here. Is A1 going to be able to stop Simon from backing? No, they are not. Dharmic Pillar is not going to slow them down either. King of Darkness and Liore both trying to escape. Aegis used by the Discordia. It is not going to save their life. Kuzenbo dropping low as well. A1 is going to chase out King of Darkness. Turns around though. Can't get the kill. Wild Inferno get one. But now they might be in trouble. Have they overstepped? A1 has to use the beads in order to get out. It's not Thorn. It's not Blink. It's going to be beads. Crusader diving deep. 2 members are low, both the frontliners, and indeed Wild Inferno has stayed around too long, but the Jormungandr has to leave. SimonSays finds 1 kill, might be in way too deep though. Rama coming back, so is the Jormungandr KingFsher trying to get out alive. And once again, both sides might be overstepping a little. SimonSays back in. SimonSays back to the grave. Wild Inferno step away, 2 for 1 on perhaps an ill-advised fight from both teams.
Ill-advised. I thought multiple times, I'm backing out here. Let's get out of here. Let's go ahead and back out. I'm surprised to see that fight went in that direction, especially how you started that entire fight, which is over nothing. There was it was just a brawl. There was no objective, no gold, nothing, no tower basically. It was just, I mean, I think they did get tier 1 on the left-hand side, but that fight was not for that tier 1 at first. That fight was totally for blood. It was just King of Darkness 1v4ing, putting himself in a bad position, and then walking out, and then Wild Inferno walked way too far to the T2. A1 walking into the tower and trying to get a kill. And this is enough so that the Gold Fury is back up again. This is another Gold Fury fight. I would not be surprised if Shockwaves pulled it again, but instead, Death from Above being used early here to try to get a kill onto the Rama. Rama is trying to get out with his own life. Shadow will escape for now, but once again, King of Darkness ready to 2v1 if he has to. And here comes the rest of Seismic Shockwaves. They want this gold figure again.
Seismic Shockwaves now going to be on the forefoot. They might be backing up again. A1's caught them out from behind. They don't have an ADC. Their jungler is missing. Once again, Kuzumbo and Jormungand are going to be the two forward, and Kuzumbo's the target. Watery Grave might not save them. Way too low. Dharmic Pillars are sure to confirm it. Kill credit goes over to Aeon. And now Wild Inferno with another good early pick, and it's not going to be like last time there. Not going to overpush. They are going to march themselves right back to the Primal Fury. But Dharmic Pillars are down. One of the best objective secures in the game you don't have available. Primal's still the target. They might rely on an Astral Barrage instead. Golden Apple going to go out. Not going to hit. Will land onto stooompzz. Primal Fury dropped. The Ganesha almost dead. Now Kali, the one maybe in too deep, still has destruction, gonna be forced to use it, and just in the nick of time, Jormungand are now ulting deep, very, very low in HP. Are they gonna chase it all the way? They are. Good blink by Kali, and now Crusader might have overstepped, but instead the target's gonna be the Neja. Simon Says falls. Is Jormungand going to as well? Gets a kill onto Slim the Rebel. No small feat. Charlo picks up the kill on the back end. Now A1 oversteps, gets a kill though. Shadow is gonna take down the Cthulhu, but a great kill from the solo laner. It's going to be a 3 for 2 for Wild Inferno, and the Primal Fury still standing.
That's the real winner, is the Primal Fury of this entire fight. And also, I wanted to comment, this game kind of feels like 4-person chess, or 4-people chess. I don't know if you ever played that, but
I have not.
It's basically a chessboard, but you have 2 teams. So you have usually the 2 opposing ways play against each other. But you can kill the other king right next to you, basically. But we're talking about a beacon right here. I'll take it for just a second because you were talking for a lot right there. King of Darkness, 1v3 is the situation here. Wild Inferno looking for their third. This will be a beacon, and this will be the Titan spawning into the mid lane is how it looks. I expect that Wild Inferno will go for this Pyromancer, then push mid. Or this could be a Fire Giant pool if they wanted to go ahead and go for it, give it a try. I mean, their Titan is going to be very strong, pushing into the mid lane. Dharmic Pillar to secure that Pyromancer. Do not have it for Fire Giant. Do not have it for this Titan push. We'll use it to secure the Pyromancer. An unusual call, but, you know, always be, you said it earlier, just go ahead and be safe. Why not? Makes the most sense. Let's not let them get a free objective when we don't need them to, and they've gotten plenty of those, and they're looking at the gold here right now as the Titans are about to start walking down mid lane.
And if you're Wild Inferno, losing the gold fear here isn't the end of the world. You just got Pyro, you had a couple kills. The gold swing certainly back to normal-ish. Now stooompzz is going to have the Dharmic Pillars fairly soon, and we talked about this in our last set. We wanted to see a team, they had a lead, they had all 3 beacons, wanted to see them do a Titan, then use it to get the Fire Giant. They don't care about the Titan, they're going straight for the FG, and Seismic Shockwaves know it. This burn is not happening quick enough for them to justify it, and I think very wisely, they're going to step off, look towards mid lane. Like you said, they've captured all 3 beacons. They can burn that Titan much, much faster than the Shockwaves can. Gonna see if they'll push with it. All 5 members from both teams are here. Indeed, the Titan's gonna be falling very quickly on the side of Shockwaves. Crusader steps up though, descent into madness for the Cthulhu. Now Wild Inferno gonna try to push them back out. KingFsher around the back with a big blink in. 1 stun. shadowknexsestus has to use the Aegis. Is gonna survive. KingFsher dies with destruction. Still up. Kali not expecting the damage. Now the Cthulhu wasn't as well. A1 has to back up. Jormungand still in the mix. King of Darkness force out. Now Crusader mezzed in the back. Both teams now trying to disengage, but Seismic Shockwaves actually end up on the better half of that engagement. But Aeon teleported back in. Cthulhu back to full HP. Crusader dropping low in the back. Crusader is gonna die. Charlo gets a kill. Chaos Side Titan now finally gonna fall, be pushed back. Wild Inferno still looking for something though under the tier 2 tower. SimonSays gonna get beads out. What? No, sorry, Magi's cloaked out by stooompzz. Really caught me off guard there. Wild Inferno get a tier 2, and it looks like they will walk away the victors of that fight. That confused me so much. I was like, no way.
Why is that guy shining gold right now? What is going on? They really tricked you right there with the Magi's revenge, or what's called the nice old blessing is going to come out from the wonderful looking stooompzz. I like how Wild Inferno played that entire fight, taking what they can from what they are given. is what happened right there. They were given the kills and then given the ability to push right down mid lane and said, we'll take it. And that's the thing I talked about in the previous game, Sunbreakers versus KingFshers?
KingFshers, yeah.
KingFshers was, you know, taking the opportunities and taking the calculations and adding them together. And this is another situation of that. If if Wild Inferno can continue to do that, then there are a lot of chances here. But that's not an opportunity right there. That's not a calculation that is in my favor if you're KingFsher.
KingFsher, CC Chain not going to be able to pop Destruction now for the second time. Kelly having a little bit of a rough go of it. And it's 31 minutes in. How the heck is it 31 minutes in? But that doesn't seem right.
It doesn't add up to me either, man. I'm sitting here like, it's 31 minutes into the game, and I want to point your eyes to something. Cthulhu has finished Pathetic Cloak, which is great. He actually ended up getting the physical damage out, and there's your evolved version of it, and the Blood-Soaked Shroud, which is something you typically see built on gods like Anubis, and gods that are going to be building high amounts of lifesteal without building, let's say, Typhon's Fang, which is a really high percent lifesteal item, or our wonderful other item that's on that same tree called Talon, Bancroft's Talon. And I would expect to not see either one of those from a Jormungandr, yet it makes sense to get some lifesteal out if you are a Jormungandr. Just more sustain. Just go ahead and, sorry, Cthulhu. Just have more sustain. Why not? It makes sense.
Sustain is very fun. I think I'm used to Cthulhu's going Pythagoras piece, and that's kind of about it as far as the lifesteal goes. The Shroud, a new one to me, but it seems to be working for Aowen at 3 and 2. Seismic Shockwaves are going to pick up the Pyromancer. Now all 5 members here from both teams, and we've entered that stage where the Fire Giant is enhanced. It's everybody's favorite time. It's a late game Crusader having to ult out of trouble, trying to chase down the Marticarus. Charlo still with both relics and the ultimate up, can get out of trouble at any time, and now is going to be that time. Jormungandr under half HP, but gets back into the fight. Seismic Shockwaves push up, descend into Madness to try and punish him. Aowen, though, just going to use it as a disengage, and Shockwaves now with the upper hand. Charlo had to back to base. Their ADC now on the way back, and Seismic Shockwaves have an opportunity to set up wards, get aggressive. They might be looking for this Fire Giant soon.
Of all people to look for an objective, it's the Seismic Shockwaves. That's the name of the game for Seismic. If I were to think of, if I were in a game of Jeopardy that you host all the time, the title was Seismic Shockwaves, and the question was, what do Seismic Shockwaves do? I would say, what is objectives? And that's exactly what they're not actually looking at, as stooompzz has actually taken the aggro of the Fire Giant at first. I think that was a little bit by accident to clear out a ward. And I would see the rotation here coming in from the Shockwaves. This is an opportunity to pull right here. I mean, you got 3 eyes on the mid lane. Titans are all down, no more beacons. Gold Fury could be a target if you wanted to go for it, but it's very dangerous to pull that right now. Either team does that, then I would just say go to the opposite side of the map and get that Fire Giant. Aowen could go over there and challenge them by himself if he wants to. There we go. The fight has already started, trying to kill Crusader.
Charlo already used the ultimate, already used the beads, now the Aegis down as well. Marticarus is going to be in trouble for the rest of this team fight. Stunned out in the back, Slim the Rebel, or sorry, SimonSays takes him to the skies. Not Slim, that's the same team. Charlo finally dies to liore, gets a shutdown there, and now Cthulhu around the back trying to dash in, looking for the Rama. Descent into Madness finally going to happen. No more CC for you, King of Darkness. No more Rama for you, Seismic Shockwaves. Wild Inferno pick up 1. On the back end, though, they are going to lose the Kali again. Now Aowen trying to fall out. They're on the wrong side of a 4v3 Crusader. Dropping low, though. They still have Slim the Rebel, and that might be all they need. Beads expended by the large deity, and now Crusader dropping low once again, not able to find the damage. Though Slim the Rebel being forced far too much back to contribute. Now Seismic Shockwaves, you said they needed an opening. This might be it. Tower teleport up for the Yorm. They're gonna have a brand new tank, but no Rama. Means Wild Inferno knows they can't really pull an objective, and they're still looking to fight. I'd be worried if I was them, and that's exactly why. There goes Aneja, up into the skies goes stooompzz. Elephant goes back to the grave. Golden Apple barely misses Slim the Rebel. That could have been risky for Wild Inferno. And now, lesson learned, they're going to disengage. 1 member lighter.
It's nice to see Seismic Shockwaves winning team fights, because for a second there, it felt like these team fights were not going their way. It felt like Aowen was kind of controlling the solo lane and the solo side of the map. But instead, Crusader has gotten some great ultimates off to answer for Descent into Madness with World Serpent. have been creating a lot of chaos, especially for gods like Charlo and like Martigrus. Well, god like Charlo, my goodness, man. I am pumping Charlo up as a god himself. And it might actually be because this game is extending much longer than I expected it to, and there's some damage that you need to be doing as a Martigrus towards the Jormungandr, who are the two highest damages in this game. If you look at the left side of your screen, Martigrus with 38k damage currently, and then answering is the Jormungandr. Knocking at the door is the 33k.
When it might just be a little bit more. Awan now gonna engage once again. Descent into Madness finds a double knock-up. Wild Inferno feels like for one of the first times this late game are the ones starting the fight. Crusader forced into the World Serpent, gonna have to run away. Seismic Shockwaves answering back. Cthulhu will fall to the Kuzumbo. Watery Grave secures one. Slim the Rebel taken into the skies by SimonSays. Astral Barrage gonna get Aegis out though. Great relic timing from Slim. Crusader gets one. KingFsher able to pick up Nexus. Now King of Darkness, SimonSays both dropping low. Callie is on the hunt. Jormungandr picks up one more onto Slim. Callie has a double kill. King of Darkness low, Crusader low. Is it gonna be? KingFsher might look for more. King of Darkness shoving them back. King of Darkness gonna fall. It's a triple kill. Callie wants some more. Although the Discordia finally gonna find their way away. Oh, but not before a blink. Liore stunned. Liore has to use the beads trying to get away. Finds the root. Oh, and I think the Penta's timed out, much of my chagrin. KingFsher, though, not ready to drop the kills. Finally gonna disengage. Now the Jormungandr is gonna pick up one kill. No! A beautiful timed shell by stooompzz. The knock-up as well. Callie should be home free much quicker than the Jorm. And now that the craziness has subsided, I'm gonna assume that Callie gets away there. Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and assume that. And I want to ask you your opinion on some builds here. The Magi's Blessing instead of the upgraded Pridwin, and the Martigrus build, both on the side of Wild Inferno. What are you feeling about the dual lanes builds there?
Dual lane has pretty funny builds. We got a Pridwin on the Ganesha. Dharmic Pillars is a funny ultimate to stack with Pridwin because we haven't seen stooompzz really place down an aggressive Dharmic Pillars yet. Maybe like one or two of them, but they typically are running away while using Dharmic Pillars, which means that Pridwin is going to be exploding on no one, maybe on their own team. I do like the Stone of Binding pickup and the Magi's Blessing pickup coming from Ganesha. We've already seen a lot of uses of the Magi's Blessing on both of the friends, as well as Heroism. So we're stacking for the CC from the Seismic Shockwaves and expecting a lot of it to come out. That works extremely well with Sash, and as my friend iNooblet will hover over every one of those items, the one that he was over for a second there was Prophetic Cloak, sorry, not Prophetic Cloak, the Magi's Blessing, the Magi's Shelter, which gives to a friend. So this means that if you get CC'd, immediately what will happen is that bubble will go to your buddy, the closest CC'd buddy is what's going to happen. And so it's a great thing to have, especially as a team going up against a Naja. And look at those crits coming out from Naja. Seismic Shockwaves will secure a Pyromancer as Crusader starts to kind of walk forward a little bit here, possibly looking for a fight. But this might be the wonderful thing that I like to call by the Fire Giant dance. We've seen it a little bit as of right now. This is enhanced Fire Giant still, which means that this could be a big decisive factor for either team, and that's why these fights are so extended. But we need to see a team initiate these fights a bit faster. I think the Seismic Shockwaves could take a chance here. Go ahead and start pushing forward a little bit. Go into their jungle. Go ahead and start taking some chances and see if those opportunities open up for you, because SimonSaysSmite has been playing very well as of the last couple engagements especially.
The Naja's been impressive this game for sure, along with the Jormungandr really coming alive in that last team fight. Certainly expecting to see bigger things from the Crusader, and I was so wrapped up in the ADC build and the glyph choice there that I haven't even looked at Naja's build, and I'm not even going to attempt to get into that one, as Oni Fury is going to be pulled by the Seismic Shockwaves here. That should go down fairly easily. Wild Inferno aren't close. They don't have Oracle Vision, but you got to think, as soon as that Oni Fury gets down, get onto that Fire Giant, and that's going to be the call. stooompzz is going to engage. They have Charlo, they have the Morgan Le Fay, and they have a Kali. They have a ton of damage here. You have Dharmic Pillars. I mean, if I'm them, I'm thinking about just sticking it, but that's not going to happen. KingFsher falls off, looking for Crusader. There goes stooompzz and Charlo, and it's going to be King of Darkness in the back. Watery Grave will not find much. Death from above. Charlo might be getting out of position. Slim the Rebel picks up one. stooompzz is going to be taken down by Liore. And in the back, KingFsher finds the big 1v1 onto SimonSays. Exactly what you needed from your Kali, exactly when you needed it. Now Charlo back in the fight, looking for Shadow, gonna find it. Slim the Rebel still here, and it's a 4-on-2 for Wild Inferno. They're looking for King of Darkness. They are not gonna catch him. If I'm Wild Inferno, get back, get that enhanced Fire Giant, and get your lead back.
But instead we're going for a middle Fenix. This is an unusual call, and I don't know if it's going to work out in their favor or not because, well, I guess there it is. I guess they get the middle Fenix. Middle 4v2, 3v2 is the situation as of right now, but now you got A1 and Slim the Rebel down to about a quarter of their health bars, which means that if they have to walk at this Fire Giant right now, it's going to be a much rougher patch to have to go through. And A1 says, I'm going to go ahead and keep fighting. I don't know if this is the call that he wanted to make while up here, but lands and A1's running away 1v1 with King of Darkness. Liore is now being chased by KingFsher and will just go ahead and get away thanks to a wonderful early dash there, as well as King of Darkness having the back end threat of being a Kuzum bow. Now the threat is going straight back at KingFsher and will get the kill. Liore with a great pick, as it looks like Wild Inferno could have easily backed off there and went for the Fire Giant, but instead will actually end up losing one of their best teammates in the TheCrimsonAspect. And this lead is kind of looking towards the way of Seismic Shockwaves, but at 41 minutes into the game, this gold lead is little to nothing. I said it in the early portions of the game, about 5 minutes into the game or 10 minutes into the game, that like they got so many objectives. They had so many, but Seismic Shockwaves just didn't have that much of a lead, even though they had gotten 4 objectives. And here we go again, a fight onto A1.
A1 is the target. A1 dropping low, trying to dash out of their Dharmic Pillars should slow Shockwaves for the time being. Azure Barrage doesn't nearly have the range, and now Charlo might be in trouble. Jormungandr looking for it. Beads already used by the Martikaris. Both relics down, might be life down soon as well. SimonSays, though, not going to find the damage. Or they do, up into the air, almost dead. Now they are dead. It's going to be a huge consuming power from the Morrigan to find 2. Crusader answers back onto stooompzz. Descent into Manus is here from the Cthulhu. It's a 2-on-3, but Wild Inferno have no fear. Slim the Rebel still looking for it. A good route by the Discordia. By Spell the End, King of Darkness not able to find the dash. Now the Kuzumbo might be caught out of position. Blinks away. A 2v2 now. Wild Inferno. I mean, we said it a few times. I don't think they get a kill here. If I'm them, you back, you go for that Pyromancer, you have the Kali up, you have the damage, and indeed, they should claim their prize, but they want the big Fire Giant. Ooh. I mean, they're going to have the damage, but is that worth it, being that 2 members are dead?
Members are dead. It's going to take them about 20 seconds probably to kill this thing, so they might be able to hold it for Charlo, but in the area is King of Darkness, but that is the only person. Watery Grave is currently not up, which means he can't knock anyone up or disrupt. 15 seconds until Charlo is up, 17 seconds until stooompzz is back up, and half health is currently what the Fire Giant is. Now, at this point for me, let's go the Fire Giant. Fire Giant is the call. Let's kill it. We're going all in for it. No problems here. Let's go ahead and use every ultimate, everything. Maybe they still will come out here, or maybe not. We'll see.
Now Discordia has arrived. Watery Grave going to be used a little bit preemptively. Fire Giant still stands. All 5 members up. Who's going to get it? It's going to be Wild Inferno. The gamble pays off. Now Liore forced onto the back foot, and a risky play leads to big rewards. Wild Inferno with enhanced Fire Giant on all 5 members, and going into that, I was not confident that would work, but gotta hand it to them. Great play calling.
It is great play calling, and I really appreciate the fact that they stayed on at that time, because we've seen them now twice pull the Fire Giant and then just back off, and it didn't make any sense to both of us. We were like, we probably would have stayed on that, and to see them finally actually stay on it, especially with them only having 3 people in the Discordia in the area, it's a pretty brave and courageous call to be like, all right, we're taking this chance. Discordia could easily steal this. It's not a Celestial Beam. It's not a Searing Pain from a Ra. It's not a Kraken from Poseidon. It's not these abilities. So we're going to go ahead and take this chance. Also, it's not a Space and Time from Giannis, right? And with this enhanced Fire Giant, they're going to go ahead and take Gold Fairy. Pyromancer still stands. Towers still stand. Phoenixes still stand. So I would expect to see a large group up here from Wild Inferno, possibly with a solo split push in the mid. Kali could go and push wherever she wanted to with this Phoenix coming just back up. Go ahead and keep applying pressure, because there's another Fire Wave in mid. Instead, opting to go ahead and do a 5-man push into this left lane. And this is a big call here from Seismic Shockwaves of what they want to defend, because not only did Wild Inferno have enhanced Fire Giant, they also have 15% extra damage to all of these Phoenixes.
And after they get this left, they can go for the middle, and they're not wasting any time. Dharmic Pillars onto the bird, gonna separate people. Crusader ulting in the back, so is Alan. Both the solo lanes going crazy. Destruction used, Crimson Aspect. Timer might run out though, and indeed it will. Gets a kill before they fall though. Liore picks it up. Crusader now caught behind the entire team, but look at the health bar, has been doing so much work in the back end. There goes SimonSays, not gonna land the sash. Tries to use the Windfire Wheels to get closer. Caught out though, Aowen uses the beads, Aowen still chasing down. King of Darkness separating the fight. Cthulhu might have dove too deep, and indeed they have. Aowen gonna fall to the grave. Wild Inferno try to do a little bit too much, a little bit too soon. They lower the Phoenix, but Seismic Shockwaves went out of that engagement. And again, it feels like for the second, maybe third time this game, Wild Inferno not patient enough, misstep a tad, and now they've lost advantage. Oni Fury's back up in a few minutes. They could have held that lead until they're able to get something more concrete, but this risk not going to pay off this time as an enhanced Fire Giant wiped off too.
We saw in the last game that we casted that they played it by the book, is what I called it. They played it textbook. They did exactly what the gods and goddesses wanted them to do, what was intended to do, but instead, does not feel like exactly what the gods and goddesses intended and Wild Inferno to do with that Fire Giant. I think what the call there was, and the simple call, the very easy call would have been, let's go ahead and get both towers, so left and right tower, and let's wait for the misstep from Seismic Shockwaves, because Shockwaves are very aggressive, and they've made multiple mistakes this game where they are in a bad position. And if we're Wild Inferno, let's just go ahead and wait for that opportunity and go off of that. If we get that one pick, then we won't have a Jormungandr in our back. Crusader did extremely well that team fight, did he not? I mean, you saw him 3v1. That looks like what A1 has been trying to do this game, but when you have a Phoenix hitting you the entire time, it's not in your favor. And that's exactly what A1 just learned, is that, man, that defense from the Jormungandr was what just saved the Seismic Shockwaves, in my opinion at least.
Getting a pretty good showcase of why Jormungandr is quickly becoming one of the top bans in the league. And credit to Wild Inferno. It's kind of felt this entire game, although maybe not recently. Wild Inferno have done a great job clawing stuff back, getting a lead. It's felt like Seismic Shockwaves have been ahead. Wild Inferno still have all their tier 2 towers up, none of their Phoenixes have been touched. They're still in a great spot in this game. They can afford a little bit of risky play. And this is really risky. Crimson Aspect just waiting in the grass. I don't know if they realize everybody is on the other side of the map yet. Probably going to figure it out soon when Cthulhu turns around and sees everybody on this side of the map, and indeed they have. And Cali finally starting to work their way over. If nothing else, oh no, maybe not. Going back for the... Are they trying to split push a Phoenix?
That
Ooh.
might be a possibility, but I thought it was very odd. Remember how there was that fight on the left side of the map when there was no objective there? My question is, purple's not up, back camps are not up, nothing's up. Why would a member of Shockwaves walk to left right now besides for this exact reason, which is to defend the Phoenix, which is exactly what Kali is doing, is split pushing here. She could easily 1v1 a Rama, but she has to use the abilities in the correct PEMDAS order, as Dilo and I would say. You have to do it properly, wait for the dash to come out from Rama, and then use your jump, and then possibly you have to hold destruction until that last second to be able to melt away, because no dash on a Rama is a death sentence for the Rama himself, unless you can go up in the air in Astral Barrage, but it's very difficult against a late game Kali to do that. And here we are, Wild Inferno is into the late game. 3k pots should be coming their way here very soon.
And a little bit of an outkill on the split push, but one that ultimately doesn't really result in a net gain or loss. Kali and Rama both back up. Kali and Rama both now rejoin the fight around the Fire Giant dance, and I'm guessing this is going to be a long one. Crimson Aspect, though, already taken low. Magi's Revenge is going to pop. It does not have to use the beads just yet. I mean, I guess all the players on that Wild Inferno team really taking advantage of that item. Crimson Aspect still here in mid, facing down 2. Crusader has had 2 massive team fights. Can they get a third? It might be the game ender. We're at that stage where even if you don't get Fire Giant, if you get a lot of kills, you can spell the end. A1 now on half HP, gonna run right into SimonSaysSmite. Dasho not going to land onto the Cthulhu. The squid monster lives another day. Crusader now in the middle of 3. Charlo force up into the air. Stoomps dropping low. Crusader now utterly missing from that fight. Is dove into the back line. Crusader finally, or sorry, Aeon finally now getting back. Descent into Manus used. SimonSaysSmite gets out of the tower on full HP. Dharmic Pillars used. Dharmic Pillars won't lock anyone in, but Kali lives on maybe single digit HP. They get one kill off the back end. Crusader still dropping low. Consuming power is gonna find it. Oh, look around the back. shadowknexsestus is here. They see him though. Holy cow, crits ringing true, and Stoomps might pay with their life. Oh no, but it's gonna be KingFsher unintentionally body blocks, and Wild Inferno try to shut down the Rama. It's not gonna happen. shadowknexsestus with a big kill. Simon says still there. Wild Inferno maybe now are just gonna look to back off. The Rama doing way too much damage to mess with.
Way too much damage. I'm glad to see the answer from Ganesha. Stoomps has the answer of a Spectral on the board, which is exactly what you need when you're going up against a crit Rama. Deathbringer, as well as the Demon Blade coming out from the Rama, will have the answer of the Spectral. Spectral Armor, as you can kind of read right there, reduces the damage that crit chances do, not only for you, but for your teammates within 55 units by a good amount. And that's exactly what you need when you're going up against a high damage, as you saw right there, 300, 400 hit crits coming out from Shadow, and you can see it right here on the Oni Fury, 600 hit crits. This is a really cool build that I like on the Rama. Get rid of the starter item instead of holding on to it. But funny enough, that Marticarus also has Fail Not on his build, which means that he also has a little bit of crit. Not as much as Shadow does, because Fail Not is a more ability-based crit item instead of these more basic attack-based items, because Demon Blade exactly does what you would expect it to. It's a Demon Blade. As you attack and you hit more crits, you get more attack speed, and you just do more and more and more and more. This is all that Demon Blade does. It's like rolling down a hill with a crit item. Crit has kind of faded out from the ADC dual lane, and especially in the jungle as well, it has kind of faded out, besides on like Mercury, I would say, as gods you would see it on. But I'm still happy to see crit, just not as much as I was, you know, last maybe 4 or so patches ago, last split. Crit was the name of the game, and it's thankfully not now. I like seeing a non-crit meta.
As an ADC main, I also like seeing non-crit meta. It's a very fun one. It's a little bit more predictable and a little bit less overpowered. Is now Enhanced Fire Giant going to be started yet again, 52 minutes in, but this time Seismic Shockwave is going to be the one starting it out. And once again, Crusader in the backline. KingFsher trying to find some value here. The Kali's gone massive before. It's going to need to again in this fight. Bubble not popped yet. Stoomps at about half HP. King of Darkness and Crusader pushing forward. Wild Inferno just kind of forced to really step back off that. But now, Seismic Shockwaves, they're at a little bit of a crossroads. Do they take the fire, or do they take the Fire Giant? Sash not going to land for SimonSaysSmite. Maybe that was the initiation. Still surging forward. Morgan Le Fay is in mid. They're going to know that by where the minions are. Seismic Shockwaves, though, just don't look willing to pull the trigger just yet.
A 52-minute Fire Giant dance is unexpected, but Crusader is going to put himself in a really rough position that may not be as effective for his team as he has been the last couple of fights. Crusader 555 might have to go ahead and find himself in a 5s situation as a Clone Wars fan yourself. You know, 5s didn't live forever, but is a really cool clone trooper. And here we go. We had to force the bat from Crusader. Here comes the TP. A1's there to cancel the TP, which means this is a 4v5 situation in the favor of Wild Inferno. Let's get this Fire Giant pulled. I'm screaming it. Jormungandr has to walk out of base back to the Fire Giant, but instead we're still doing a 54-55, almost going into that kind of time. Dance for Fire Giant. This is super late into the game. No one's initiating onto each other. Let's go ahead and get this fight going. Here we go, King of Darkness. Let's see what you got.
King of Darkness stepped up. Gonna be found out almost immediately. No damage going on to the Kuzumbo, though. Before it gets deeper, I love that you made that reference. That was a good one. But now Wild Inferno are still sitting here at the Fire Giant. And this is the time, it feels like every time we're in this situation, we want to see one team step forward. And here it is, Seismic Shockwaves find the damage onto Charlo. Marticarus has to leave. Is this the opening? They don't want to engage.
They don't want to engage at all right now, but the mid lane is where Nexus is going to go ahead and decide to push, but 5 members of Wild Inferno are running at them, including the one very scary one named KingFsher, because there he goes. Nexus is gone almost immediately. A1 is on his knees, ready to kill everyone else, begging his team to catch up with him as well. SimonSaysSmite is in a bad position, but KingFsher is as well.
Now A1 uses Descent into Madness, Search chasing out King of Darkness. The King Kappa might be in trouble. Uses the shell, barely able to get away. KingFsher still looking in the back end. SimonSaysSmite taken down by Slim. And Kuzumbo, don't know how they escape, but they do. It's a 5-on-3 here for Wild Inferno. Could be a difficult defense for the Seismic Shockwaves. Discordia, their only damage dealer, but the Jormungandr's up. That's all they need. Mid Fenix dropping low. KingFsher again trying to chase down a kill. Can't find it. Destruction used. Middle Fenix is down. KingFsher could be in trouble. Jormungandr's looking. Jormungandr's gonna get it. 4v3 now in favor of Wild Inferno. Wild Serpent gonna chase him out. stooompzz is low. Charlo is low. Liore, though, doesn't want to engage just yet. Discordia lagging back quite a bit. Indeed, Seismic Shockwaves just gonna disengage. Wild Inferno lose 1, but they get the Phoenix. The door is open.
Wild Inferno, they're playing a game of teeter-totter. This is a game of balance, Nemesis style, you know, with the 2 judgment of how do you balance these fights. And the balance is just constantly switching. If I was playing a god, for example, like Hell, it's like pressing the 4 button if you're a mouse and keyboard player every 2 seconds is what it feels like. Going from the light to the dark. Which one's pushing? Which one's pulling? Where is it going? What is happening? This is... it's a game of mental at this point. Longevity. How long are we going to be able to mentally get through this game? 56 minutes. We're going on to almost an hour at this point, and we're pulling a Gold Fury. What is this Gold Fury going to do for us? Probably not that much, but we're going to have it, I guess, and be able to maybe do something with it. Maybe, you know, fling a fight from it. And that's exactly what might happen, because Rama is walking into that left jungle, but Martikris ended up backing here. Nothing to happen here. I'll go and hog the mic for a little bit here, because I think we're getting close to our last-ish fights here. I would hope so, at least, because all it takes at this point, 3 kills. 3 kills on a 1 team, and basically this game's over. If you get 3 kills and you have 4 or 5 people remaining on your team, then this is going to go your way. This is going to be your win, as Seismic Shockwaves pull another Fire Giant. stooompzz is in the area as the other members of the Wild Inferno walk in, and KingFsher, I hope this is it, man.
I would expect it to be 57 minutes in hands. Fire Giant pulled. Even if Seismic Shockwaves get this, though, they still have so much towers, Phoenixes to work through. This is Wild Inferno's game to lose right now, and Crusader is step 2 forward for the first half of this game. Gets into the World Serpent, though. Saves their own life. Might have just saved the fight as well. Gonna head back to the base and try to heal up. Wild Inferno now, they have the advantage. I don't know how much I would be pushing this if I'm Seismic Shockwaves. It's going to be risky. In-hands Fire Giant started. The Jormungandr on the way back in. King of Darkness taking a lot of damage. King of Darkness now going to be forced out of this fight for the time being. A1 is in the back. Descent into Madness. Here's the engage. They don't need the Fire Giant. They just need the kills. Shadow's going to fall. They're looking for more. King of Darkness low being looked at by KingFsher. Knockup going to land onto the Kuzumbo. SimonSays and Crusader in the back have not found any damage just yet. Liore dropping low and out with A1 and Charlo on the right. Kills are going to follow. There goes the Discordia. They only need 1 more. Phoenix called it. Can they get the last one? Crusader falls. King of Darkness next on the table. It's a 5v2 for Wild Inferno. That just might spell the end, and they're looking for more. SimonSays has to use the beads in order to get out. Gonna be stopped by KingFsher. Finds a Satch, not gonna find the kill. It's a deicide. Wild Inferno now. They don't need the right Phoenix. They have the middle one, and they have the win. 59 minutes later, Wild Inferno are gonna take game number 1. It's an emphatic end to a back and forth set, a very competitive set for an hour long. I mean, holy cow. The kills were very nearly even until that last deicide. I mean, the gold lead was nothing. Pretty much all points are out that game. And I don't know where you look if you're these teams. Both of them played it so well, but at the end of the day, Wild Inferno going to be the ones that close it out.
At 31 minutes into that game, I think we looked at each other and basically said, it doesn't feel like it's actually 31 minutes in this game because Enhanced Fire Giant was already up. But then at 40 minutes, it felt like the game had been going on for like 2 hours. I don't know how it swaps so fast from being like, man, this game is really going by really fast to being like, wow, this really slowed down real fast. But that's because that's what Enhanced Fire Giant does to team fights, is it makes it that much more important that all 5 members start to stand, as well as getting those 3 picks. And as I said, that's how that game ended up ending, is that it was a 5-man that ended up picking 3, no picks going the other way. Seismic Shockwaves, but the answer from Shockwaves was not enough. It was not going to ever be enough, it felt like, at the end right there, because SimonSays and King of Darkness were trying to hold on to it, but they couldn't. And look at those wards, though, man, guys. Congratulations on placing probably the record amount of wards in an SDL match.
Absolutely love seeing all the wards up there, and seeing the player damage as well is crazy. The fact that a support gets almost 32,000 damage in a game should be unheard of. King of Darkness did it, finding a lot of value there, and almost 70,000 from both the Marticarus and the Discordia as well. But the one thing I'm drawn to, at least on the side of Seismic Shockwaves, is a lack of structure damage. And they were right in that game for most of it. They had a gold lead at most points, but unable to breach 1,000 structure damage. If you're heading into game 2 and you're King of Darkness, who I believe is the IGL, the shot caller of the squad, I know they're the captain, you need to do a better job on the sieges. We really didn't see a whole ton of it. I don't even think we saw a tier 1 tower push.
We didn't. We saw Rama split pushing a couple of times, I believe. But besides that, there was it Rama? Sorry, what was the other ADC? Oh, yeah, it was Rama. Because Charlo played them Marticarus. So Rama was the one that was split pushing down one or the other side. That's all the tower damage you have. I think if you're King of Darkness, how do you come back into the second game as the Seismic Shockwaves? Maybe you pick the god that is around your name. Pick a Geb. I think a Geb would have done really well for that team as far as initiation goes, but also protecting your team and having even a higher amount of peel than what King of Darkness brought on the Kuzumbo, or even, I said it last game, the Khepri, I think would have been a really good pick in the support role. I can't lay this all on King of Darkness. I think the Kuzumbo worked really well. As you saw, the damage was extremely high, but do you want damage out of your support, or do you want maybe 5? Because that game, if there was a KingFsher in that game, KingFsher, how many Scholar Scarecrows would have been used would have been massive. The amount of wards that were placed were 27 on some players. There probably would have been over 50 Solar Scarabs used that. It's not Solar Scarab, Scarab's Blessing used that game. We're very tired. That was a 58-minute game.
It's going to take me a while to get over the fact that you called me the wrong username, but someday I'll recover. But with that being said, Seismic Shockwaves, they can certainly change some things up. They can look good going into game 2. But we're going to throw it to a quick break here before we're back on the desk for picks and bans. We'll see you back here in game number 2.
Caution, contents hot. 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 You got to give me all you got. Caution, contents hot. You got to give me all you got.
Caution, content's hot. You get to give me all you got. Caution, content's hot. You get to give me all you got.
Hopefully, you all needed that little break just as much as we did after a wild and very, very long game number 1. We're back here for Unstoppable Week 4. Seismic Shockwaves down 1-0 to Wild Inferno. And Fenix, I mean, we've been back here for a minute, but take us through game 1 again. What were Wild Inferno able to do well, and what does Seismic Shockwaves need to change to push us to game 3 here?
I think the name of the game for Seismic Shockwaves and what they need to do. Well, let me say first what Wild Inferno did right. Wild Inferno took advantage of some opportunities they were given, and it worked out in their favor. That's what I gotta say. A 58-minute game. I'm not gonna say they played it perfectly. Oh my gosh, they were so good the entire time or anything like that. It was for sure a situation of they took the opportunity that they were given and they won with it. Now on the opposite side, Shockwaves really good at objectives in the early part of the game. They need to work on taking those opportunities just like Wild Inferno did. I see that we're in picks and bans right now. Pretty typical. It looks Baba Yaga already coming out. We don't want Slim the Rebel to have Baba Yaga. But I'll say one more thing about Seismic Shockwaves, then we can move on and see what they do in game 2 here. This team looks cohesive. They looked very strong when they fought together. And so let's hope that the jungler they pick is a jungler that fights together. And I love to see the Marticorous ban comes out because that makes it a lot easier to fight as a team.
It does, and ItzCharlo looked very, very good on the Marticorous last game. I believe was out damaged by liore in the Discordia by about 3,000. Whoa. But certainly ban-worthy over there in the duo lane. And like you said, Seismic Shockwaves did not look bad at all. I thought their draft was pretty good. I thought they played well. And if we've seen one target ban, if you're Wild Inferno, ban the Jormungandr. I wouldn't mess with it at all. Ban it. Crusader was unbelievable on that Jormungandr, played extremely well.
Ban the Kali. The Jormungandr has been left open. They could take it right here, though, again, if they'd like to. Yeah, it was so good on Crusader. If they don't take it, I would expect A1 possibly just to go ahead and pull it out from underneath them. No really high priority picks besides that boy being
pleasure
open.
in the crushing of
a little bit of a
one's
nerf done to
enemies.
him as of recently because Gladiator Shield also received a nerf, which means he's not as effective, but also just the current Soul Eater Transcendence that you can go in the jungle with him, as well as you can go in solo if you want to as well. You can go a Soul Eater build into Gladiator Shield, even into Berserkers, which is a little less seen item. All great things for Ravana. But here's the Ganesha again going on stooompzz.
I'd really, I think, rather see this Ravana piloted towards the jungle. I mean, Ravana solo is very good. Nobody's questioning how good it is, if it works or not. And I'm sure Crusader could pilot it very well. But I want to see Crusader on a pick like Jormungandr. If Wild Inferno doesn't pick them here, love to see Crusader on the Jorm again. Pick that's able to get into the backline very easily and just cause chaos. Now on the other side, they're going to go with a Hachiman. Very, very good ADC and a lot of safety built into that kit. Like the Marticorous, you can use mounted archery to really kind of escape basically anything.
Basically everything, but man, it still stands. KingFsher, it's still there, and they're gonna take away A1's Cthulhu possibly, which was it as effective as the Jormungandr? I don't think so. I think the Crusader was standing in between that left side Phoenix defense is the most Jormungandr moment. He walked into 3 people, defended that Phoenix by himself, essentially, while the rest of his team was getting chased out. And then on the back end, SimonSays was able to walk in and get 2 kills off of the fact of what happened in an Ishtar pick coming out as well. Where's the Kronos? We need to go ahead and appease the KingFsher gods.
I think if you play Kronos while I'm casting, you just get an automatic pentakill. I think we should make that a rule of the league. They have to give it to you. That'd just be awesome.
Did KingFsher say he's getting a tattoo if Kronos gets a pentakill? Is that what you just said? What?
I am so scared to death of needles that I would love to if I wasn't scared of it. I'd say sure, I'll get a CERN tattoo. If someone gets a pentakill, not gonna happen. I don't think that's in my future, unfortunately for me. But I mean, the Cthulhu lock-in, it's certainly a good one for Crusader. It's not really Jormungandr, but I liked it on Alan, and Crusader played good enough that I'm sure I'm gonna love it on his side as well. And seeing the Ishtar lock-in, it's no Cernos, but it's a very good ADC, has CC immunity, has a very long dash, really does just about everything you want in your duo lane.
Big news. You're getting a Cernunos tattoo at some point this season. That's great, dude. That's great news for you. You can do a little you don't do needles. You can do the like little the kid ones where you just put it on it and then take it off. There you go. Yeah, there's
okay, there you go. I'll do one of those tattoos.
Okay,
I don't know,
wonderful.
the primal spirit face mask is cool enough to consider it. I
It
love
is.
that on CERN.
It is, man. And I think iNooblet's gonna get both arms all the way down. He's gonna do them all right like this. And he's gonna go every single one of the AI generated team things. So he'll have Seismic Shockwaves right here. He'll have Wild Inferno right here. He'll go all the way down the arm. He'll be like, "I bleed SDL." It'd be pretty sick of him. But we can get back to the game actually because that's a Discordia ban right there. But an Agni pick, Slim the Rebel, God is God.
We all know what's coming. We all know what's gonna happen. Slim the Rebel on Agni. It's one of those combinations you hope you never have to play against. For good reason. Performed very well on the Morgan Le Fay last game. A little bit of an uncharacteristically quiet game from Slim, but by no means was it a bad one. Certainly did the damage, got the kills, did everything you needed. And a ban on the Morgan, I like that, for the simple fact that there's a Cthulhu in the game. You don't want to be facing a double Cthulhu. It's not gonna work.
That is what I love. I love double into madness. Its greatest situation is just slamming people in the head from above with it's like Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs. Just meatballs out of the sky. Just like, oh my goodness, what is going
law
on?
returns
Just
to
like
this
this
land.
humongous monster that's out of the depth. And there's the pick. Tier to go into the Cthulhu as a soul laner. I'm questioning it, but also Tier is just so strong right now that it doesn't really matter what Cthulhu does. Just got to keep in mind that you're picking into a Ravana as well as a Cthulhu. Ravana can just immune your Fearless, as well as Cthulhu can just press a 4 button and you can't do anything to him. But I still like Tier nonetheless. ItzCharlo's going to have a hard time.
Yeah, it's not really necessarily the best counter pick. Maybe you won't have the greatest laning phase at certain points, but a tier is a tier. Once it gets late game, not going to matter. Tier is going to find impact wherever they are on the map. I'm sure it's going to be just a fine pick, and here's something we haven't seen in a while. It's going to be King of Darkness on the Athena. Likes this pick a lot, and I'll tell you what I like about it. A long taunt and a global rotation. I mean, all you need in God right there. Second time, we're going to see a Giannis lock-in. Wow, for liore, I was not expecting a Giannis into this team comp.
I wasn't either. I was expecting something with bigger circles. Scylla would have been a great answer because of how many circles they already have in their comp, especially with the Cthulhu and the Athena. I understand the Athena into Unstable Vortex. It's a great comp, but I love taunt into Crush. I love taunt into so many other different large round abilities that occur. And I also like Ratataskers, and we've seen him 3 out of the 4 games we have watched today, which is a wild thing because Unstoppable just loves their Ratatasker, and I like my Ratatasker as well, just as much as any other person. And he has such a cute little face. I'll rub his nose right here. I'll try to. There you go.
Ooh,
Oh, so
close,
cute.
close.
So close. My hands can't go that far, I guess. I'm too short. I like Ratatasker, and we've seen him play different ways and on the same player twice in the previous set, or did they switch it? I think they switched it, right?
They swapped.
No, they swapped it. Yeah, they swapped it from across teams. But we love Ratatasker, and we love to see it on this comp as well. That's another team with a lot of circles.
Yeah, I feel like it's really hard to hate Ratatasker. no matter what. I mean, the character itself is just awesome. There's nothing really to hate about the abilities. Semi-global, oh, you have a stun, you have a dash, you have a slow. Anything you want in a jungler. The only question raised for me is a Ratatasker going to be able to kind of recreate the pressure that Ravana brings? We've seen Ratataskers go massive. It can certainly pop off. It has the capability. But going against a Ravana, you know, no matter if that pick is ahead or behind, it is going to be causing a lot of problems.
Problems is what you want to avoid if you're on Seismic Shockwaves right now, though, because that's all you've had. That was a problem last game. With the end of it, especially, was the biggest problem. It was not the entire game was not a problem, but we got to see what Seismic Shockwaves can do here.
Absolutely. It's going to be a very big ask for them if they want to push it to a game 3, but I think we're about ready to see if they have what it takes. So all you Seismic Shockwaves fans are going to need you now as we get into game for match number 2. Here we are, didn't have to wait long at all. And already, over here in this duo lane is going to be a pretty big point of contention for this game. Seeing King of Darkness on this Athena, I mean, we both liked the Kuzumbo from last game. There was certainly nothing wrong with it. But I think we both wanted to see a change, and this will certainly do the trick if King of Darkness has a good game here. The Athena coupled with the Ravana, coupled with the Cthulhu, it is going to be a hard team comp to slow down.
I think when there's a god that is so flexed between solo and support play like Kuzumbo, we see Kuzumbo in multiple other roles, and especially in this previous patch, we've seen him in solo lane actually a pretty good amount. That goes for Sobek as well right now. We would call these the lower tier of supports that are kind of on the edge of being solo laners. You would never see a Khepri in the solo lane. If you do, it's probably a troll. And you probably would never see like a Ganesha in the solo lane. These are your supports. These are your guys that you expect to have always in the dual lane, always building super tanky, never building things like a Chronos pendant, to be kind of funny about it, because we've seen Athena build Chronos pendant in our previous set. I don't know if that was the right choice for that Athena, but it could be possibly for this Athena if they wanted to try for it. I mean, a lot of cooldown coming from Giannis as well as Athena might cause a lot of chaos.
I certainly like a Chronos Pendant more than some of the other full damage items some supports go. I think it definitely fits into the build a lot better. I also can't believe you would disrespect my Khepri solo. That is just beyond insulting. I would never troll with that. Now, once again, it's other Cthulhu, this time getting advantage. We saw Eowyn early game, last game, was having a little bit of troubles keeping the HP up against Crusader, and we can see why. Crusader had a great game. Looking forward to that same start. And against a tier, it is difficult to get a lead.
It is difficult to do a lot against a tier, especially just walk at him. Walking at a tier is one of the most threatening things I think a Smite player could ever do. I think it's probably up there with walking at a Bakasura with Regurgitate. And speaking of Regurgitate, that's not a throwing up, but that's a beautiful little taunt there from King of Darkness into two different people. Aeon in a rough position though.
SimonSaysSmite over here finds a root as Ravana finds a kill as well. Sorry, Cthulhu's not going to get it this time. The Ravana, first one onto the board 2.5 minutes in. And SimonSaysSmite, that's a character where I think I mentioned on the desk, you still do fine if you get behind on a Ravana, but if you're ahead, it's game over. I'd love to see SimonSaysSmite continue getting that lead and make an impact all over the map. I would have liked to see a little bit more ganks, I think really out of both teams last game.
And that's a gank right there for you. I'm guessing that was a gift to you. They kind of said, all right, KingFsher, we got you from last game. We'll go ahead and do some early ganks. We don't see any ganks coming out right now, but we see a dual lane brawling. Stoomps almost down. King of Darkness, both of these supports kind of taking the brute force of their ADC sins and almost dying for it. These buffs are already respawning back in. We don't see any challenges across the map, which I'm very surprised to see considering what you just said, which is SimonSaysSmite with a great gank in the soul lane. Probably could have challenged that blue buff, but instead it looks to be down for them. Is that I see that? Do I see that right? Is that actually stolen, or is that down just for Awan waiting for him?
You know, I've been wrong about that thing so many times that I'm not even trying to call it anymore. I'm pretty sure they stole it. I think that's what the down arrow means. But I've also just made myself look foolish before, so I'm gonna assume since Tier hasn't picked it up that it's stolen.
Yeah. And so with that steal, I will take it right back. That great play there. As you said, SimonSaysSmite will need to escalate this lead in an early game. Ravana is not a sight to see, especially if you're on Wild Inferno right now. But also, KingFsher looking good on this Ratatasker 0-0 right now. But it could become just a farming game for these two junglers who can out-farm each other, and kills may not matter as much. As we saw last game, went to 15 minutes, but here's a kill right here. Possibly for SimonSaysSmite, but a great dash from KingFsher will get him out, and a blink as well.
Both blinks counter each other, junglers blinking at the exact same time through the Cosmos. Not needed to be used by the Ratatasker. KingFsher able to escape all the same. So still going to have that ability up. Pretty useful for them. I mean, it's a great ability on engage and disengage. So having that in your kit always going to be pretty useful. Now Seismic Shockwaves look toward these right-hand minions. Yeah, again, it's SimonSaysSmite getting involved early. Certainly don't want to see them stop now. The Ravana can do so many things from ahead, and indeed they're going to rotate towards this right lane. I wonder if everyone's ready for this. Ratatasker can at least see the Athena. I'd expect here to start backing up. There it is, going to use a Lawbringer out under the tier 1 tower. Good taunt by King of Darkness, but instead it's shaken off very, very quickly by the tier, who's able to survive. 4 people now in right, though. Is this, do we smell it? It's another blue buff invade. Maybe. Attempted. Oh, and they're not going to take it this time. It's secured by Wild Inferno. Sure, Seismic Shockwaves shaking their fists in anger over that one.
That's a great situation to view ship exactly why tier is such a good pick actually into this team of Seismic Shockwaves is the passive. The reason that cooldown was so fast, the reason the CC was so fast, was because of Unyielding, which is tier's passive. And tier's passive allows for him, when he stuns, any form of CC that is applied to him is minimized to only being able to be used, I believe, for 1.5 or 1 second. It only applies for 1 second at the max. So that's tier's passive. It's actually a very simple passive. It's not a very complicated. There are some passives that are like, if you're doing this at this exact time, then this will occur, or like Nike or Discordia in the situation in which if whoever's doing the most damage gets more damage, basically is how it works. That's a little more complicated, but this is such a basic one. All CC, 1 second, done. That's how tier works.
I honestly just wish I put that passive on every character. It'd make like all the fear no evil so much less annoying, or all the long stuns. What
how to kill Smite?
Only
dude.
1 second to CC. Oh my gosh, could you imagine? That'd be horrible. Ooh, now Charlo taking a little bit of damage here on the left side of the map. And outside of that first maybe little 2v2 where both the supports got pretty low, it's been a very quiet duo lane. And of course I just had to open my mouth. Here comes the Ratatasker looking to louden things up. Not going to find the knockup, might find the stun, but no, it's going to be a quick beads by shadowknexsestus. Still running away, good damage by the Ratatasker. Heavenly Banner comes down, and so does the ItzCharlo. First kill for Wild Inferno, 7 minutes in, going to be picked up by the jungler.
I'm so surprised that we're not seeing Slim the Rebel get some more kills in the early phase here, with bombs being available for him now from the sky. This is one of his favorite gods. This and Baba Yaga last season were two of the most dominant looking gods for Slim the Rebel. Liore is behind by a level, so is taking the opportunity to get a lead in the lane, at least Slim the Rebel is right now. Not much of one at that. But I expected to see Slim Rebel take some more aggression. I might be able to see it probably around the 10-minute to 13-minute mark, especially when these beacons, I keep saying it, these beacons are the time in which these two teams should start to look to fight. And I do want to bring attention to the fact that Giannis is a good answer to an Agni, and this blue buff getting challenged again will be stolen away thanks to SimonSaysSmite clapping the Blues cheeks, to be exact with you. And stooompzz says, oh man, I'm a little too late, aren't I? Darn it. And so once again, A1 will have to walk to his blue buff and do the pitiful shoulder down. Oh man, no blue buff again on a tier.
I mean, perfect voice impression there, just spot on. I'm probably not too happy at losing half of the blue buff so far. At least assuming the one at 30 seconds didn't get stolen, but I think that's a pretty safe assumption. Yeah, Seismic Shockwave is certainly going to have their work cut out for him across the map. It was a good kill back by Wild Inferno, who now hold a slight gold lead. It's about 1,000, so certainly not a small one, but I mean, it feels like we said it last game, not the end of the world for Seismic Shockwaves. Just the other way around now, certainly can come back. And I think you said, the beacons this season have been when teams met up. It's been at 12 minutes. It's not before and after. It makes me so sad because we don't see any more 9-minute Gold Furies. Those are always so exciting.
Yeah, pick the Anubis E-set comp, E-set jungle with the Anubis mid, and just go over to the Gold Fury at 9 minutes and blow it up because you have laser eyes, and then you have wonderful looking Circle of Protection. Sorry, Circle of Healing? No, Circle of Protection. I think I got it right.
Protection.
Yep. And so walk to the Gold Fury. You have the highest amount of secure ever. I haven't seen that comp in a long time, and nor have I seen this type of gank. Just a couple seconds ago we saw this.
Yeah, shadowknexsestus does not have the beads, has a Blade's Retribution though, and that is going to be enough to force KingFsher to just crash to the ground harmlessly. No more ganks on the left-hand side of the map for at least a little bit of time, and ItzCharlo, a very, very hard character to get kills onto when she knows something is coming. Had a ward there in the top left. I don't know if it spotted the Ratatasker or not from where they leapt from, but assuming maybe it did, and that's why ItzCharlo was able to get out of there so quickly. There's a message we love to see. Beacon is charging. There's now a 2-minute timer on when these teams will meet as 5.
Let's hope it's 5. We've seen multiple games today where these two players, especially the ones in solo, have decided to go ahead and split push or 1v1. I saw at least yesterday in an Immortal game that I was casting. It was just sitting there and decided to go ahead and take the farm in the right lane and let them 4v4 duke it out at the beacon, which works out in one team's favor. It depends on which one gets the beacon typically, and I like the fights. I like the force fights in the mid lane in the current meta. It feels as if though it's how it's supposed to be. It feels like you're supposed to be there and there's a reason to be in the mid lane rather than just stealing from the Rebels or Liore's buffs. And hey, speaking of buffs, A1 gets a blue buff. Congratulations, my friend.
Gotta feel happy about that. One is now 1 minute out from the inevitable fight in King Darkness, trying to find some damage onto stooompzz. Little Portal is going to take away 200 HP from the Ganesh, so certainly feeling it right now. But now SimonSaysSmite is here. The Ravana trying to get some damage. King Darkness, but not quite quick enough on the dash to keep them there. And Seismic Shockwaves, they showed last game. They know how to team fight. They know how to show up to objectives on time. If you're Wild Inferno, you do not want that to start. You gotta shut that down early, otherwise it's gonna be just like last time. They're gonna get a Gold Fury, then a Pyro, then a Gold Fury, then a Pyro, all over again for the first, what was it, like 35, 40 minutes?
Yes, it was very long that they were just running that game as far as objectives go, and then it was a Fire Giant dance by that point, and it was a very long Fire Giant dance at that. I want Wild Inferno, as you say, they cannot let that happen, and I think this is the start of it. They gotta take a fight real quick. Go ahead and get in there. Let's get aggressive. And Wild Inferno have the position to do that right now if they wanted to, but instead are willing to take the fight on the beacon itself.
Indeed they are. Wild Inferno here a little bit quicker. ItzCharlo still walking into this fight. It's a 5v4 for the moment, and they know it. Crusader forced up into this Descent to Madness very quickly. Defender of Olympus used for some damage mitigation. Wild Inferno, despite having the man advantage, are now backing off through the Cosmos used for Ratatasker. stooompzz dropping very low in the back, and the Rat looking for one, finds a double knockup. No, but pulled away by the tier. Aowen finds one anyway. Dharmic Pillars will not find a target, but it doesn't matter. Wild Inferno win the initial bout. Crusader now back into base, does not have tower teleport, so now it's back to a 5-on-3. King of Darkness gonna be the target. King of Darkness gonna drop to the grave. Stygian Beacon in hand. Wild Inferno win that one in convincing fashion.
It didn't look like it was going to be their way for like a second there, but then it was like 1 second. The Seismic Shockwaves were like, oh, we got this, it's ours. And then like, nah. Wild Inferno like turned around, Agni landed a humongous bomb, and then into a tier, Fearless, into 2 people. And then a wonderful Lawbringer over the wall just made Wild Inferno become a totally different team than what happened last game, because objectives for them were not the targets. They did get all 3 beacons, which means now this is a 4-0 beacon if you want to count the previous game going in their favor. And I hope to see them push that. They got the 2 kills, they got the beacon. Let's go ahead and get Gold Fury. Let's go for Pyromancer. Let's continue to get these objectives. Let's do exactly what Seismic Shockwaves did, but let's do it in better fashion. Let's go ahead and get some kills with it too. And this kills might come their way because this is a 3-man left side. Shadow is kind of standing here under the tower. Decide to go ahead and not go for it. Probably looking for a pick. As I said, Gold Fury is up, and this is Wild Inferno's game right now.
stark contrast from last game where we were kind of used to seeing Seismic Shockwaves, a group that were ruling the team fights, ones forcing objectives. The ball is in Wild Inferno's court. Let's see what they can do with it. SimonSaysSmite again being the aggressor here on the left side of the map. They're going to get oracles fairly easily without much contest. Oh, there it is with Unstable Vortex. I thought that one had already fallen, but now Wild Inferno on this left side of the map. You know they're going to be ganking. Charlo caught a little bit up in the lane, doesn't have wards. No ADC there, though. It's going to be all on the Ravana for the damage. Taunt lands through. Charlo taking a little bit damage. Mounted archery, though, gets him out just as fast. Now Wild Inferno know they're on the left side. Do we think that we're going to see them swing to Gold Fury? But no, they're going to go for the Pyro.
This is
Maybe? No, they're
this is
not.
Seismic Shockwaves should go for Gold Fury right here. If they're going to be in this right side of the jungle, we just call it out. Liore just saw them walk right side jungle. Pinging it right now actually is one of the players of Seismic Shockwaves. Let's go towards the Gold Fury. If we're the Shockwaves, I don't know why they're not playing it like they did last game. They were so aggressive towards objectives, but instead just going for a Bastion in the mid lane and possibly a kill onto Stun the Rebel, which might happen, but thanks to Dash, not going to be the kill. stooompzz also willing to ohm and help out his teammate. Stun the Rebel's still around here, willing to throw some bombs over the head, but KingFsher coming from behind.
KingFsher finds a stun onto the Giannis, forces both relics. Liore not getting out through the Cosmos is going to be channeled successfully. Red Tasker, though, just falling back. They do not want to initiate anymore. It's a 5v5. The solo laners have rotated over. Seismic Shockwaves, they found a target. stooompzz gets caught out, didn't get back soon enough. The elephant falls. Seismic Shockwaves now can take an easy tier 1 tower. Never mind, they're going to go for the Pyromancer.
They are an objective-focused team. They showed us that last game. They're going to show us that this game. And the objectives that are currently the most focused for them, I suppose, are Pyromancer and probably the Gold Fairy. Fire Giant coming up around 20 minutes around for these actual types of plays. I thought that was about to be a hit, man. I was so scared for a second there for Charlo. Charlo does have his archery back on to the table, so if they do catch him, they can actually use it. Ooh. There it is.
Charlo just does not manage to get out, stunned at the tail end by the Blades of Retribution. shadowknexsestus finally ends up with the kill. Seismic Shockwaves get one back, and now Wild Inferno still trying to chase. Rainfire not going to be on target from the Agni. But they got the gold buff, that's all that matters. Seismic Shockwaves still trying to back away. It's 3 strong for Wild Inferno. Still move across the map, and Pyromancer's down. I like that Shockwaves went for that objective, they got it, but it feels like last game one of their big problems, and we highlighted it at the end of the game. No structure damage, no sieging. Could have been an easy opportunity to expose that tower, and they just didn't take it.
It could have. And those opportunities, that's exactly what you said. And exactly what I said last game, is you gotta take them when they're given to you. And that's one of the reasons that Seismic Shockwaves, when we saw it last game at 15 minutes, 20 minutes into the game, their lead was not what we expected it to be. They had gotten 2 Gold Fairies, 2 Pyromancers, and were only up by about 3k. And that's not what's going on right now, is that they're not taking these opportunities. They're behind actually by about 600 gold. This game is very close. Runic Bomb thrown down by King of Darkness, killing demons, killing invisible demons at that. And speaking of demons, there is a Ravana in the top right hand side trying to kill stooompzz or the green buff. Will end up stealing the green buff away. KingFsher in a position to look for a kill into Liore if he would like to, and will try to go for it, but teleport possibly away. Oh, bomb almost landing. What a close opportunity there. Seismic Shockwaves were at the Gold Fury, probably going to call for the pool there, but instead, because of Liore getting poked out, that is not going to be the opportunity that they wished it was going to be before. Let's go ahead and see a group up here. I mean, this is 18 minutes into the game. This beacon's about to come back up. Let's group up. Everyone, come on.
Certainly expect that. The beacon is going to be a fight. I mean, before we go further, love that we caught that moment on camera. Now the beacon opening in just about 10 seconds. Wild Inferno, are they going to get their 5th in a row? They are here first. Robin and Cthulhu and Tyr all marching down the lane, but they might see the ItzCharlo over on left. They have the advantage. They know she's over there. If you're Wild Inferno, push a fight right now. Don't wait anymore. Engage. You have the advantage. Are we going to see them do that? Crusader going to try to hold them out of the beacon for the time being. ItzCharlo is arriving soon, and their window has closed. It's going to be back to a full 5v5. TheCrimsonAspect still around the left side, might be looking for a gank over the back. I don't think either team wants to fight this, if I'm being honest. Oh, but now stooompzz finds one. SimonSaysSmite gonna find a lot of damage. Ravana dropping back, uses the Mystic Rush. Not gonna escape KingFsher though through the Cosmos, finds its target through space and time now. Gonna find a little bit of damage. Red Tasker blinks out of more trouble. The fight still happening in mid lane. Stitchy and Beacon gonna go easily to Wild Inferno, and they're gonna start to back up. 5 in a row, haven't dropped any and won't anytime soon. Wild Inferno come out on top of that interaction. Oh, wait, but no, they're not done. AO1, okay, finally gonna back up. I was worried we were gonna see like game 1 pushing a little bit too far, but learning from their mistakes, gonna back at the right time.
Teeter-totter is what last game was. It was just a balancing act of where do I push, what's too far, what's not enough. And funny enough that even though that beacon was basically a nothing burger, it just went the way of Wild Inferno. No picks even, well, the one pick occurred onto Ravana. Besides that, no Gold Fury, no Pyromancer, no Fire Giant, no Tower. It was just a beacon and then we all leave. We would no group up, no do something big with it. We all just go ahead and back off, go ahead and lick our wounds, try to come back to this next fight and have a better opportunity at a larger target. Maybe a Pyromancer at this point might be considered a larger target for Shockwaves, but they have got to get one of these beacons at one of these points, man, because that's 5 in a row, as you said, going the way of Wild Inferno. And it's kind of one of the reasons they lost the last game was because of how much more damage just in general Wild Inferno were doing, mainly to these objectives. They were killing Phoenixes within 2 seconds without Fire Giant even on their waist. I am loving, by the way, seeing A1 on this tier. It feels really good, and it feels like he's gotten a lot of really good fearlesses and ults off, and I hope to see that continue throughout this game. And also, Slim the Rebel. I'm starting to see a little bit more of him, but also he's playing a little bit more scared than I'm used to.
Slim the Rebel not feeling totally comfortable yet. I mean, I certainly wouldn't blame them after the game 1. Seismic Shockwaves dive is scary, especially now that it's going to be a Cthulhu and a Ravana. Pyromancer is up. We've seen these teams duke it out over this before, and I'm sure none of our surprise Seismic Shockwave is going to be the one to start it. They drop it just as quickly, though. Red Tasker up into the World Tree. TR chasing down the Honest. Through space and time, going to be used. Blast through one wall. KingFsher waiting for them on the other side. Giannis goes back in, and now Wild Inferno might be a bit separated. Oh, and indeed, Aowen pushes him back in, trying to save time for the Pyromancer. Pyro's gonna fall, but Aowen might as well, dropping very low. Gonna have to use the Lawbringer to get out. Might not. Ooh, barely gets it off. Dharmic Pillar should separate the fight. Now Wild Inferno, get the Pyromancer, don't lose anything in return. A good objective call from the Chaos team.
I love stooompzz also on this. I'm just complimenting the entirety of Wild Inferno right now. But I love stooompzz on this Ganesha. It feels like it's played so well. He's using Dharmic Pillars at exactly the right times. And whether it's passive or aggressive, it feels as if though that's what I would want for my Ganesha. I know the moment that I would want my Ganesha to press that button. As Charlo is walking possibly into 4, we'll go ahead and notice it out and try to back up. Crusaders there, ready to take the fight if they would like, but instead will opt for a Gold Fury here. This is the objective focus Seismic Shockwaves that we know very well, but Wild Inferno is walking in right now if they like to.
Wild Inferno gonna try to contest, and it's gonna be Aowen. Does not hit the dash. No knockups. Dharmic Pillars won't be enough to secure. Seismic Shockwaves takes down the Gold Fury. Fight's gonna ensue. Wild Inferno are favored. SimonSaysSmite drops to TheCrimsonAspect. Crusader now able to find the dash away. Descent into Madness has expired. Wild Inferno still looking. Rainfire gonna get one stun on a King of Darkness. They find the kill on the shadowknexsestus. KingFsher with the double. KingFsher with the triple. Needs 2 more for the illustrious Quadra, but it's not gonna happen. Cthulhu's back at base. Giannis is in the mid lane, and the wait continues.
The wait does continue, but I think the Fire Giant is the call here for Wild Inferno. You have a pretty healthy stooompzz, as well as a pretty healthy A1, unless he takes this Unstable Vortex, which puts him down to a little bit above half health. Instead, again, opting for a mid tower. This is another weird call. We saw them do this last game as well, is just go ahead and go for these objectives in the mid lane instead of going for objectives at the Fire Giant. But this fight may not be in their way, but we have the liore beads, Aegis being pulled, stooompzz trying to get out. Crusader is here to try and defend the mid lane. Athena ult being used as well. Beads and Aegis on Charlo. stooompzz is trying to peel his team out, but only him being there is not going to be enough, as Crusader and Darkness chase after 5 people. Dash, taunt, stoomps, almost falling and dying. A1 is now a little bit too far in.
A1 is going to fall as well. King of Darkness picks up the kill. Crusader is still chasing out. Just like last game, we feel they may have made the wrong call, and now they might pay for it. They do get the tier 2 tower. They lose 2. Well, Inferno luckily still holding on to a lead, but now they're going to lose their own tier 2 in the mid lane. And yeah, the map looks identical, down to the health on the tier 1 towers in the right lane.
What's not identical is nothing. Everything's identical. Literally, the gold is basically neck and neck. We're about a K away from each other. And at 25 minutes into the game, with how this game has been going, it does not feel like it should be this close, but it actually is. Wild Inferno only 2 kills ahead, taking multiple objectives both ways. We've gotten, I think, 2 go the way of Seismic Shockwaves and about 3 go the way of Wild Inferno. Of course, all of the beacons have gone the way of Wild Inferno, but speaking of not going their way, liore almost caught out right there.
liore going to be on low health for the rest of this engagement. Right, Tasker up into the Cosmos, looking for their 6th kill. Oh, and predicts the jump. Lands on the wrong spot, though. Lands on SimonSaysSmite. Mystic Rush straight up and down. Not going to find any damage. Crusader forced out as well. Wild Inferno, just through their HP bar, is going to force out the Seismic Shockwaves. And now that last beacon going to open is open. Tier over there. Wild Inferno, 6 straight Stygian beacons, 15% increased damage to the structures. And the Titan's going to be marching down that right lane as it will have the most health. We talked about last game how we wanted to maybe see them, you know, kill the Titan, use it as a chance to break off to the Fire Giant. They chose to just fight. If I'm either of these teams this time around, make something happen off of that Titan call.
Please, yes, please make something happen. This is a great chance to roll this lead your way, but Pyromancer is the call as of right now, and Crusader has found himself in a very bad position. Wild Inferno will seek to the Pyromancer. Crusader 1v5 right now. The rest of his team is behind him. SimonSaysSmite is trying to find a position to enter into it. So is liore, and our wonderful looking ItzCharlo ADC will land it onto ItzCharlo, as he is the only one standing and dying right here. SimonSaysSmite will fall, as well as our friend stooompzz and Charlo in the mid lane already dead. My goodness, Crusader was up there in the front line fighting by himself for a very long time. And I'm trying to save your voice a little bit, because I know you've casted the last couple of fights, but this is another Fire Giant dance here. This is a situation where we have to take Fire Giant fights and around and actually get the Fire Giant after it. That was a nothing burger again. Nothing's going to happen with this. Titan's going to push down right lane and nothing's going to happen, because look at where the people are. People are in mid lane.
I guess the only good that maybe comes out of this is Seismic Shockwaves feel more comfortable going on to the Titan. And again, I don't understand this. They're going to the left side of the map. All the teams just don't value the Titan at all. Wild Inferno should be able to take down this Order Titan fairly easily. Minions caught up with them a bit. And yeah, call me crazy, but I can't believe the teams are wasting opportunities like that. That Titan is so tanky, can soak up so much tower damage. I mean, if you're over there for Wild Inferno, that's a tier 2 tower easily. Like, not even a contest. Finally going to start sweeping that way, but so are the Seismic Shockwaves. liore has arrived onto the right lane. Tier, the only one focused on the Titan, now going to be joined by Charlo. So they do have half the health bar left on their big friendly siege unit. The tier 1 tower going to be the target, going to go down, should go down fairly easily. Charlo now approaching it. The teams are pretty even, and it's going to be a 5-on-4 for the Seismic Shockwaves. Red Tasker still in the left lane. Tier 1 tower follows. Crusader already in the back. Descent into Madness used in the middle of 3. A1 can't buy enough time. Through space and time. Narrowly misses Charlo. Now SimonSaysSmite with a Mystic Rush in. Crusader finds a killing blow. TheCrimsonAspect, though, picks up shadowknexsestus on the back end. stooompzz dropping low. Slim dropping even lower. Slim now has no health. stooompzz has to run towards the enemy spawn in order to survive. 4-on-3 now for Seismic Shockwaves. They're looking for more kills and might just get it. stooompzz drop through a portal. stooompzz drop back to the grave. Crusader with the second kill of the team fight, picking it up. Everyone dropping low. KingFsher still trying to run away. Everyone has Lawbringers, so can get out at any time. No through the Cosmos available for the Rat. Good blink, though. Avoids the unstable vortex. KingFsher should get away home free, and it's a 4-on-2 for the next 30 seconds here for the Seismic Shockwaves.
And what are we going to do with it? What are we going to do? What's the plan? What's the objective? Because it looks like 2 of them backed It looks like Gold Fury is probably going to be the call. I make a brave call here. I make a very brash call. I go for Fire Giant here because we need it. That was a great fight from us. We won that fight pretty dominantly. If they want to walk in a 3v5 situation, be my guest. Like, honestly, just be my guest. Try to walk into this Fire Giant. But instead, this Primal Fury is not going to make as big of an effect on them. And it actually is going to allow for the Fire Giant to go to Enhanced Fire Giant and will be challenged by Wild Inferno. Seismic Shockwaves will secure that Gold Fury, even though KingFsher was in the general area for it. KingFsher might look for a little more damage here, but not going to find it as of right now. Seismic Shockwaves currently lead the kill ratio 10-9, gold going the way of Wild Inferno, but neither really matter at this point in the game. 30 minutes into the game, everyone's builds are basically the exact same. The only two people that are not level 20 as of right now are the two supports, level 19 going for King of Darkness, as well as level 18 for stooompzz. So I expect to see a lot more fighting going on, considering everyone's level 20 now.
Yeah, support's not being there shouldn't surprise anybody. King of Darkness is close, and Pyromancer are going to be the call for the Seismic Shockwaves. And Wild Inferno very, very spread out. Oh, and look at that. They're going to split push on the left-hand side. They got two members. Seismic Shockwaves. Oh, and the Pyro's going to finally be stolen by the Dharmic Pillar. And one's going to die for it, but stooompzz is feeling happy about that one. Shockwaves need to either commit to the fire or get back to base, and they're not going to do either fast enough. Giannis is here. Liore stunned out. Liore has to use the Aegis on the back end. Left Fenix is going to follow Charlo, looking for the kill through space and time. Going to get the Giannis out of there. Now SimonSaysSmite looking for the Hachiman. Beads, Aegis used. Red Tasker coming back in. Ravana finds a kill. Red Tasker is going to get the cleanup. KingFsher finds one in the back. Now it's going to be a 2v3 here for Seismic Shockwaves, trying to push out Wild Inferno. Slim the Rebel, dropping below half. stooompzz taunted back in. Wild Inferno can't afford to lose any more members here. Liore still waiting on the left lane. Wild Inferno, they successfully get a Fenix and a Pyromancer, and they'll lose too. If you're a Chaos Side fan, that is a good trade.
That is a good trade. And yeah, it's got to be Fire Giant now. This is the call. We're at this point now where it's 31 minutes into the game. Someone's got to make a big move and go ahead and pull it. Enhanced Fire Giant is going to help you win this game if you're either one of these teams, because either one of these guys could take the cup. And Wild Inferno, even though they pushed their lead just a little bit more and got the steal into the Pyromancer and got a couple kills and actually ended up losing two of their players, sadly, this game is so close. This could go either way. And I'm going to talk about one star real quick, which is the KingFsher is currently 7-0 and has a Magi's Revenge within their kit right now, as well as Boomba's Spear. Two items you would not expect to see in the current meta as Smite on a Ratatasker, but we saw it last game on the Naja in the jungle, and so it makes sense, to, I guess, to go a little bit of protections, but not a major amount of protections. Boomba's Spear, on the other hand, unexpected. I'm usually seeing Eye the Jungle or even Seer the Jungle. If you want to do that, you can do Protector of the Jungle. Whatever of that tree you want to do is what we're typically seeing, and it's exactly what Ravana built was Protector of the Jungle, and it's exactly what they both built last game. So surprised to see the Spear on the Ratatasker, but also he's getting kills. He's 7-0. He has the third most damage in this game, right behind the elusive Slim the Rebel, who I actually am surprised has that much damage, only being 1-1.
Slim been quietly accruing the numbers. Now, people grouping up around the Fire Giant not gonna come to fruition for anything. Yeah, KingFsher last game certainly had moments on the Kali, but on the Ratatasker has looked utterly dominant. So maybe Ratatasker just the answer for unstoppable junglers this year. Impresses every time, and now Wild Inferno ranging once again to this right-hand side of the map. Ravana recently backed, just coming back to lane, and you see them pinging the minions on the left. Seismic Shockwaves know they have to send someone back, and it's maybe going to be the Giannis again. Tier should see them backing. We wanted to see it at one point when Wild Inferno have the man advantage. I'd argue we have to see it now. If they're going to take a fight, this is the time to do it. Fire Giant's enhanced, you have a man advantage. They've known Giannis has been on the left for the past 20 seconds, and they're still not pulling the trigger.
Oh, this is the dance. We saw it last game, right? We saw this exact dance from Shockwaves and Wild Inferno. We can stand here for another 30 minutes if we want to again and try to get a Fire Giant or get the Fire Giant and then push wrong. But I think if we're Wild Inferno, let's kill SimonSaysSmite. Great person to kill right now. Gonna have to probably force out the ultimate possibly here, or just the immunity will work as well. The two tanks are brawling up here. King of Darkness, KingFsher find himself at already around half health. And this fight should start here for Wild Inferno, but instead they're looking to back out. A1 does not give a rat's little butt about anything. He's just doing heavy Warcry stuff and taking all the damage to his head. Crusader says, I want you, but instead has to try to chase super far. Descendant into Madness already out and not able to do too much with it.
Descent into Madness is used indeed. Stoomps dropping low now. The Ganesh gonna drop all the way to the grave. shadowknexsestus picks up that one through the Cosmos used by Redatasker. Escapes alive. Same might not be able to be said for Charlo. Manages to get out of there though, and Wild Inferno lose one. They drop the kill on the right side to SimonSaysSmite, and then they drop even more, but shadowknexsestus out of position. Rainfire are gonna shut them down. Aowen finds one, looking for more in behind the team again. Dash won't find anyone this time. Ravana trying to get a kill onto Agni. It's not going to happen. You wanted to see the Fire Giant, and I would say that is a stretch. Crusader trying to lace back, though. Gets knocked out by the minions. And Fire minions on left. Is it Winions for the Phoenix? It's going to be KingFsher gets SimonSaysSmite. The left Phoenix falls. Seismic Shockwaves try to retreat. Giannis? No. Giannis? Oh, nearly hits an unstable vortex. Got me worried there for a second, but now both teams will finally disengage. Once again, Fire Giant will not fall, but Oni Fury now going to be the target.
Oh, man. Fire Giant. Fire Giant's the winner. Wild Inferno, if you win this game, you guys win it with Fire Giant. That's the entirety of the meta for them right now. Almost a steal coming out for the space and time, but instead will be secured by the opposing mid laner, Slim the Rebel, with the Agni Bomb from the sky. We gotta do something here, right? A big move's gotta be made that kills more than 2. I think 2 kills are the max amount of kills we've seen gone one way or the other. I wanted Shockwave so badly, Fisher, to back up after getting the pick onto stooompzz in the jungle right there. Oh my goodness, man. They had 3 people poked out. Crimson had to use his ultimate. There was no opportunity for anyone to do anything to the Shockwaves. They could have just walked to that Fire Giant and took it. Their whatever it would have been theirs, 100%.
It seems like a pretty common theme during the set. Not even from one of the teams. I think both of the teams at times. It's just knowing when to back up, knowing when you've taken too much, knowing what's going to benefit you. Because yeah, Seismic Shockwaves losing that fight, they were very, very much in the forefront. Could have easily set up for it, taken a minute, gotten that, forced to fight, gotten a Phoenix, boom, game over in 2 minutes. I mean, granted, a lot needs to go right for that to happen, to be fair. It's not the easiest to pull off, but by overextending now, they just lose the lead they had in a massive unstable vortex onto Aowen. Takes a lot of HP. Here in the back, TheCrimsonAspect is going to force out the beads from Shadowknexsestus very soon on. Enhanced Fire Giant started. They like these late Fire Giants. 37 minutes in, just beginning. Lawbringer out from Aowen. Brought as much time as they could through the Cosmos use. Fire Giant still at half HP. Seismic Shockwaves are gonna be here for this. If I'm Wild Inferno, you drop it, but that's not gonna happen. Descend into Madness from the Cthulhu. Crusader trying to make some space. Fire Giant dropping low. Aowen in the back dealing with liore. Liore very low on the Honest. The Fire Giant dropping even lower. Fire Giant finally can be taken. Wild Inferno get it. The massive through space and time won't find too many targets. SimonSaysSmite trying to lazy back. Oh, is the rat gonna get them? It blinks out. Slim the Rebel picks up one. Redatasker picks up the other. King of Darkness now in trouble. King of Darkness going to fall. And just like that, the tides have changed. Giannis, the only member alive. There's a Phoenix down. Wild Inferno might try to end this game. Liore does get the back off. There's only one Phoenix down. They don't have Fire Minion. For a few more seconds, they might go over this mid Phoenix first, and they have the health bar. The Honest gonna try to defend all alone. Runic Bomb gonna make short work. And they marched onto the Titan room. They don't want an hour-long set. They don't want a competitive set. Wild Inferno wants to end this one quick. Rainfire onto the Titan. Dharmic Pillar onto the Titan, and the Titan stood no chance. Wild Inferno take week number 4, 2-0. And I gotta say, after game 1, I was ready for an hour and a half long game 2. Well, Inferno, luckily for us, don't let that happen. They close the game in just under 40 minutes. Just like that, one fight, that's all you need. Who needs a fire giant when you have kills?
Yeah, there were 10 people in that game, and KingFsher, I would choose you every time. I loved how Charlo played ADC and how he was positioned during that last fight. We saw that this is exactly what they did in game 1, Wild Inferno did. They took the opportunity that they were given, and that was right there. They got the 1 kill, and then KingFsher, that fire giant, went their way, and they took that fire giant and escalated it forward. I cannot praise them enough for exactly what they did. And player of the game, that game, kind of unnoticed. 10-0 is great for the TheCrimsonAspect and doing that much damage. A1 played a heavy war card right there. That was a by the every single dotted I. It was exactly down to the T how Heavy Warcry played last season when he played Odin, when he played Guan Yu, when he played multiple other large end solos there, just able to do exactly what A1 just did. He stood in front of 3 people for a straight 30 seconds and just bullied them. They couldn't do anything about it. You don't want to walk, as I said, it's very scary to walk at a tier, so really well done to A1 for allowing his team to get Fire Giant down to about half health and then just roll from there.
Well executed last play, and I know every time we see kind of maybe the lower divisions, we see things we aren't expecting, the Divines, the Unstoppable, even occasionally an Immortal. I'll tell you, the solo laners this game impressed the heck out of me. They all did good. I mean, top damage for game number 2, the 35, nearly 36,000 Cthulhu. Feeling good about themselves, Crusader did have a whale of a game. Yeah, an exciting one for week number 4 here in the Unstoppable division. I know we're certainly both looking forward to seeing more action from this to come, and of course, however the playoffs do shake out, but that's going to do it here for us at Smite Draft League. I've been KingFsher, along with Fenix, and of course, our wonderful camera operator and production person, iNooblet. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you next time at the Smite Draft League.